Yeah.
It's not funny.
Welcome.
I'm angry.
That's
It's
right.
early.
Well,
I'm naked and
it's
afraid.
welcome to Grog Talk, the angry edition.
The angry gnome. Vic's the angry dwarf. I'm the angry gnome.
He is. That's what they're saying. That's what Vic was saying. Ooh, angry gnome. Oh, goody. We're all. They're all looking forward to it. So, well, we are on. Welcome to Grog Talk. I'm James.
I'm the angry gnome. Dan.
Well, where are we from today, Dan?
Okay, well, listen. All right. I'm going to try to get in a better mood here, right?
That's right.
So, and look how I look. I look ridiculous now. I'm all like, Okay.
You don't look as ridiculous that way. I've zoomed you in, so they just see your face. So you're okay.
Great. Thank you. I was thinking about this. We were on, what level of the Abyss were we on?
The Grand Central. We're on the 4th. This is the 5th.
Exactly. So if we're in the Grand Central station of the Abyss, don't you? And we've just killed Gar, Glitter Gold.
Yep.
Don't you think that? So we're in the Blood River.
Yep.
Don't you think that we would sort of float into a random portal or gate? I don't know the difference, right? Because you said it's like Grand Central. So what I recommend is that we roll a D10 3 times, ignoring any rolls of 7 or higher.
Okay.
0 counting as lower here, and that's the plane we go to. Does this make sense to you? As much as anything else we do.
Well, why don't we roll 3 6s?
Well, I know. I love that I love this 0 look. You could do that. Well, because we need a 0.
Well,
don't we?
But then you roll. Why would we need a 0?
Well, because it could be 42.
Oh.
It could be 304.
Well, we could roll a D6 and then a D10 for the hundreds and the tens. So.
Without gotten lost. That sounds good.
All right.
Or you could get out your D666.
My D660. You would have to use a computer for that. So. All right. So.
Oh no, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. So here's what we'll do. We'll do a D6 for the hundreds. The rest of them. And for the tens, the other ones will just do things. So for instance, we're on the 215th layer of the Abyss.
All right.
I like it. It's simple.
It is. It's simple and it works. All right. So hang on. Where the heck are we?
Dude, I don't think they have a name for the 215th.
Oh, you're probably right. Oh, well, that's no fun.
Yeah, I don't, because you would think someone would have went through and named all 606. There's a job that could be another Kickstarter. Name the 666 layers of the Abyss.
Yeah, all we need is, this would be great. What we do is we just need 666 backers. I know it's done based on money. Maybe there's a way you can do a number back, and everyone will take a layer. And they'll write their layer.
That's brilliant. Instead of giving out countries, we give out layers of the Abyss.
That's right. That's right. Like, Vic's would be like a bunch of angry gnomes or something, right? It'd be horrific, right?
Well, he said, keep its blood red falls river of the Abyss. That would be perfect. Yeah.
Well, so maybe what we should do, all right, bad plan. This is just a disaster of a show. Let's just go to the 5th layer, because we know what the 5th layer
that's right.
is.
And what is that called?
The internet tells me it's the Sea of Corpses. First, I thought it was the Sea of Corpses. Isn't that
Those are trees.
Groups of trees?
Sounds.
I was like, this doesn't sound so bad.
That sounds pretty good.
I like this. That sounds awesome, right? I mean, of course, they're probably like angry tree ants, but the Sea of Corpses. It is a vast frozen wasteland on top of a massive sea. It is also the last layer where it is physically possible for delvers. I don't know what is this official. Who wrote? What is this? This is wiki fandom. All right, whatever. It sounds good enough to me. Don't you think? Okay. All right. So is it time for random?
Well, first of all, what did it say about delvers? It's the last level. The delvers can do what? That they can go there on their own, or?
Wait, you're familiar with this concept of delvers?
I assume it's like tourists, eco-tourists.
Us,
yeah, exactly.
Us. We're a delver. Hey, I'm a delver, man. man, I hate all the delvers. It's so much traffic.
Right, right.
The
Once this
delvers.
got out on the internet that this was a place to come, all these demonic tourists come. That demonic. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the fishing is amazing in the Blood River. Have you seen the size of the
That's
gars?
right, dude.
They're
They are
incredible.
awesome, so.
Just watch out for the spider webs. So, yes, it's physically, if it is the last layer where it is physically possible for delvers to return to the surface without losing their humanity or dying. Not a big deal.
I think we've lost our humanity at this point. We're pretty close. We're pretty close to that.
So this is like the Rubicon. So this is like the Rubicon.
This is the Rubicon of the Abyss. That sounds like a great album title, right? For our band.
Yes, Rubicon of the Abyss.
Rubicon of the Abyss. Their forthcoming album, Rubicon of the Abyss.
Hey, what were we? Feces and
we've
something?
been the Pseudo Undead. We've been
Dung and something.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, Pseudo Undead. I know Pseudo.
Hey, can you see my? Can you see my familiar?
Oh, there. Look at that.
Yeah.
They're gonna like that. I think we just got 3 or 4 more subscribers just by showing a cat.
They think I should be replaced with the cat.
Well, based on what we heard when we were trying to get this set up, the cat was more useful to my.
Indeed.
That's right. All right.
All right. So it's time for random encounter in the abyss.
We have to do some introductions first. We're
Great.
it looks like the world is slowly moving out of the lockdown. So that means October 9th through the 11th, GROGTALK we're still planning it, unless there's a winter resurgence and everyone is dead at that point. But we're assuming that's not going to happen. So 9th through the 11th here in Orlando. Tickets should be pretty easy to get because no one's coming here right now. So.
We may actually pay money to pay.
It may get to that point. That would be awesome.
We need grant money.
That's right. Can you work on that? See if there's part of the stimulus.
Indeed. I'm gonna apply for some grants. Some sort of role playing grants.
Cultural grant.
We should apply for. Wait, can GrogCon apply? I don't know how our patron money is. Maybe we can apply for some of this stimulus money.
Right. So, well, we're a tourist / cultural thing. There's got to be $20 million.
And we have fewer than 500 employees at our location.
That's right, easily. I'd like 10 million. That would be great. I think that would keep us going. I also played last night with Brian, who's on, the Captain General. Thanks for letting me tag along. So if people are hankering for online play, that is, you can go to our meetup site, the Grognards Guild of Central Florida, and both DM Brian and Josh are running games on Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join, just send them a note.
And I was thinking about that. Don't you think we should create an NPC class called Link Boy?
Link Boy? Well, Rob Ritchie would appreciate that. Our dear, the Chamberlain of Brandywine. Link.
And I was thinking, the perfect person would be Kelly Villamere.
Yes.
Don't you think? If we could get him to write, and I can see it already now in Dragon Magazine. Underneath it, it would say, an NPC to bring a little light to your party.
That's very good. You have been thinking about this. This would have been a shame if we didn't have this. This is
what I do. I think so. You were, or you're a torchbearer.
I was a torchbearer.
And you were a link
I was
boy,
a link boy,
right? And so you have different levels, and you have a number of proficiencies, like torch, and then maybe you get your level 2, you get another one, like lantern.
That's right, upgrade to lantern.
Yep, you need a minimum dexterity, probably of 8, 7. I don't know. They're usually up.
You have to be fear at -5. You save because you're constantly.
I love it. It writes itself.
Drop torch. That's a special move, and you run away in terror.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We'll ask Kelly to do that. Which, by the way, you still have to send me the soft copy of his. The list of non-player proficiencies or non-weapon proficiencies.
Has there been a large demand?
No, but we've mentioned it a couple of times. So
That's right. Okay.
So we want to do that. Patron special, I have announced it on Twitter. And May 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to run for our patrons a special module that we both appreciate very much. Maybe you can talk about what we're going to run on May 9th.
Oh, right. So the hope is to run the Halls of
That's
Tiz and
right.
Thane from White Dwarf Magazine, the greatest adventure of all time by Albie Fiore. Or is it Fiore? I don't know. I think it might be Fiore. I think that's the way the guys over across the pond pronounce it. And they would know.
So what's awesome about that is that we're going to talk about the module at a high level next week or for our White Dwarf review, which is the actual issue that it came out in, correct?
The April-May issue 1980. Yep. 40 years ago.
That's why we're doing this. So if you are a patron, first we obviously reserve for our gold and platinum tier folks, but depending on their schedule, some can make it, some can't. Then we'd love to have our patrons be part of it. So just send me a note on Patreon or direct message GROGTALK at Twitter. And it's sort of first come, first serve, but Dan will be running it. I will be assisting. We may have some other folks as well. So we'll have to see.
Cameo.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So great.
Yeah.
Let's see. So again, this all happens thanks to our patrons. We really appreciate it. I know times are tough for a lot of folks throughout the world. So we appreciate everyone helping us out that way. Next. No Heldries for today. We're actually 23 in Japan in the Swedish challenge, so that's pretty good. So thanks to our friends Menyon and his sagacity of Kensai. We appreciate that. And if you like what we're doing and you listen to us on the podcast on either iTunes, if you could give a review, that's great. We're on Google Play and the rest of it. So now we are ready for a random encounter.
All right, let's do it. So the Dorso roll. It's a 6.
6, okay. That's Monster Manual 2. I
am finding the Monster Manual 2. Excuse me. Familiar? All right.
So by the way, I've set up on the YouTube that people can see their chats now. That we're being super sophisticated. This is what happens when you're in prison. You can improve the web chat. So. The Angry Monk says it's Fiore, is from what he's heard.
Yes. Well, I used to say Tyson Thane, and now I think most people would say Tizen Thane. So I had it all wrong, but that's the way it goes. All right. So you are rolling a die 10, I believe, James.
I can.
Not to find out what area we are in the because everyone knows the 5th layer of the Abyss has dungeons and wilderness and mountains.
Well, it's all underneath the corpses sea, the never-ending sea of corpses. What is it called again?
Yes, the Sea of Corpses. That's a good album.
That is
too. Just Sea of Corpses, don't you think?
I think that was a Slayer album. Was that after Seasons in the Abyss? Wasn't that like the EP that came out with it? There was Seasons in the Abyss, and then there was Sailing the Sea of Corpses.
Sailing the Sea of Corpses. That's it. Sailing the Sea of Corpses. We do entertain ourselves, don't we?
Sailing the Sea of Corpses. Look at that. That's Sailing the Sea of Corpses. I think that was the Slayer album when Primus opened for it was the cheeses Sailing the Sea of Cheese and Corpses. That was wonderful. That was a great thing. So.
All right. So have you rolled
I did.
I
rolled an 8.
Oh, listen, the dice don't lie. It's an aquatic random encounter.
Exactly.
Right? This is why you always trust the dice. You never try to fudge in advance. All right. So now you're rolling a D10.
D10 again. Okay, I can do that.
Oh wait, no, stop. D6. Sorry,
3.
D6. Temperate fresh water.
Nothing says nothing says fresh water like the Sea of Corpses, but okay.
Okay, and now you're rolling well, I just need a d6 because it's either going to be, oh wait, it's either going to be the surface or the depths. So I just need a 50-50.
It's 1 to 3, so I rolled a 3.
All right, so that makes sense. It's on the
Right.
surface. So we pop out. So we bite this. We're in the web.
Charlotte, that's right. She's the winner. The name that the Twitter selected.
Right. So Charlotte is floating along. Right. Is there on the web? Probably born in. Oh no, counts right. Came from 66. Right. With Loth, and gets lost. Takes a wrong turn, and she's a tourist. She's a delver. She didn't mean to be a delver, or maybe she was there on a holiday. Right. She's a day tripper, and she ends up in the 4th level, and so she's spinning a web because why wouldn't she catch a giant fly or something, right? Or a giant dragonfly or horsefly, and that stupid Gar jumps up, knocks her off the net, off her web. She bites him, and now she's in the water, so she's floating along. Right? It's like in a movie, right? Like
finding Charlotte.
Right? And you know what? Do you know what they're going to say when if she is ever killed? Hang on a second. You know what they would say if she was ever killed? They would say, "Charlotte, you've got your legs in the air."
That's right.
Don't you hear all the laughter? Okay. So and so she pops out.
Let's see how many people know what that reference is.
Our crowd should know it. So she pops out and she's on the surface. So now I need you to roll the 2 to 20, please.
6.
Buccaneer. That's great. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
All right. So where is that Monster Manual? I assume under men.
Yes, I think you're absolutely correct, sir. So we're heading to Buccaneer. And the question is, are they different from a pirate?
It says it's we talked about parenthetical evil.
Yes.
So here we are back again. So by the way, we're very excited because we live, we're only 90 miles away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is appropriate. And who just became the latest Buccaneer? Tom Brady. So
is there talk about Gronkowski?
He's also come as well. This is our quick sports side grade. So basically all the New England Patriots are now a Tampa Bay player, which is, I'm fine with that because at least we have a chance now. So yay for us. So this is very appropriate that we're dealing with a Buccaneer. So this is on page 67 of the Monster Manual, the original Monster Manual. There it is, showing it to everyone.
Right.
Buccaneer, in parentheses, parenthetical evil. We're back. My other Kickstarter, pirate.
Right, it does. Right, pirate in parentheses. So Buccaneer is the same thing as a pirate. I love the number appearing.
Right. 50 to 300.
50? That's great, isn't it? I love this too. 80% to 100% in layer. That's a pretty high layer percentage.
Is that their boat?
So some of them never leave, like the cook.
And the piss boy, right? Or
the the piss boy. That should be another NPC. And and so then they just leave to I assume to rape and pillage.
Right. They have their little hideaway wherever that is. Their secret cove where they
right grotto.
That's right. Where they.
So they are found. I just say they're found in oceans, seas, large lakes, and broad rivers of the world. Their armor depends upon where they're located. Well, it's probably pretty hot in the abyss.
Yeah.
Usually the encounter will be in the Buccaneer's lair. Which is their vessel. Only 20% of the time will they be encountered off of their ship along some coast or shore. So what do you think? We'll keep reading, then we'll decide why they're there. For every 50 Buccaneers encountered, there will be a 3rd level fighter, and for every 100, a 5th level fighter, all in addition to the number indicated by the dice. They will have from 2 to 5 prisoners in their lair. Usually, I believe, female, probably usually a princess of some kind, Lady Lamunda, I think. These unfortunates being held for ransom. Buccaneers will always be led by a captain of 8th or 10th level. 8th if fewer than 200 buccaneers. He will have a 6th or 7th level lieutenant and 4 mates of 4th level. There's a chance of a cleric. For every 50 buccaneers, there's a 15% chance for a cleric of 12th, 13th, 14th, or 15th level. And it matters. So you can have buccaneer clerics. You could have a buccaneer party.
That's right. That sounds amazing. That should be a one-shot.
Oh, that would be great, right? Their armor and arms, the buccaneers are, all right, so they list it all out. Most of the time they have leather armor and a spear. I never really thought of a buccaneer with a spear. I guess are they throwing at fish?
Well, a sword's not going to do you much if you're on the other boat, so.
Good point. Shouldn't they have a, what's the curved sword? Shouldn't they have a scimitar? Cutlass. And I don't think there is a cutlass, right, in the player's handbook. I think you'd have to use
I don't.
A scimitar
or something like that. Now, the only reason I remember that is because from the famous A3, the leader of the slave lords is a Frida, if I remember correctly, in his picture. It's Frida or Greta or something like that. Let's see what his official name is. But I remember.
Well, you wouldn't last long, would you?
Yes, he has.
I'm sorry.
He has a cutlass +2.
Oh. Okay, hold on. I mean, digression is what we do. So I want to see if there's a cutlass. What did it say with? Oh, you just put it away.
Oh, sorry.
We did. Well, you didn't think I was going to ask about the cutlass because I don't think the cutlass is.
Well, most people just assumed it was a scimitar. That's what we.
That's what I did. Yeah, there's no cutlass listed. What's the damage on the cutlass?
True.
Oh no, no. On notes it says includes cutlass, saber, sickle sword, tulwar, etc. So the cutlass is its own weapon, but it uses a scimitar. So 1 to 8.
Yes, and the notes in here, it says spells and notes. Treat cutlass +2 as scimitar. Damage 1 to 8 plus bonus. There you go.
Why in the world would it not? Oh, so I guess when it says sword, you could use a cut because you gotta have a cutlass if you're a buccaneer.
Right. Yes, you'd say it's a. That's right.
Come on.
Well, I think also this came out. Remember, this came out in '77. Maybe they later expanded it in '78, which is so. I would replace it with. I totally would replace it with a scimitar / cutlass. Absolutely.
Right. And so here we've learned information. I love that. At the bottom it says pirates are chaotic, evil buccaneers, who in all other respects conform to the characteristics of the latter type of men. So the parentheses is we know it's somebody that's different. You're not a pirate.
Well, this makes sense. He has to be a pirate because he's chaotic evil. We're in the abyss. It's chaotic evil.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll go with that.
It would not be a buccaneer, a friendly buccaneer out on the seas of the Sea of Corpses.
What are we doing
we're here because
I'm lawful.
We're here because we were stuck in a pandemic, but
okay.
So we have one buccaneer. One pirate who is exactly like that.
Can I ask you a question? Do people? So the abyss. So that's where you go when you die when you're chaotic evil. Oh, okay. So he's all right. So he's dead.
You want a
actually.
Dead pirate? Oh, I like that.
No, I don't know. Is he or is he not? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Or is he?
He's visiting.
Maybe he's visiting his friends.
He's delving.
You know?
That's what.
He's delving. All right, he's a delver. The delving pirate.
The delving pirate.
Oh, we have. James, you need to roll for what kind of weapon and armor, right?
Now you have in the past. It doesn't have it here because we don't know how. Since we're only doing one buccaneer, there's not like a chance he's a special buccaneer. So we'll just do the 73.
We've not done a chance of a special buccaneer. 73. All right.
It looks like he has a heavy crossbow.
Yeah, leather armor and a heavy crossbow. Oh, this is a problem for him.
He's got one shot.
Once the spider's in
He's
melee.
got one shot.
I got one shot. Oh man. I'm nervous for this. This is gonna be wow. So all right. So does it unless it like lands on his head? No, if the spider gets surprised, he's like done. He's
pretty
done.
bad.
So what happens? So the spider pops out of his portal, drops down in front of him, right? Well, you got to go have to do distance,
Exactly.
how far away, and then movement. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's sailing the Sea of Corpses, and Charlotte is hungry. I guess corpses don't taste that good. She wants fresh blood, so she's going to move towards Roddy the pirate. All right. So first, let's see surprise.
Okay.
I rolled a 6.
I rolled a 5.
So there's no surprise. Let's do distance. Ooh, they are 90 yards away.
Oh, how fast do I move? Let's see.
In the web?
I'm the pirate,
That's right.
aren't I? I want to be a pirate.
R. How many R's can you say? Exactly. Yes, right. You are the pirate.
Okay.
I'm the spider. I'm Charlotte. I'm the defending.
Your legs are going to be in the air soon, buddy, and you're going to hear all the laughter. Okay. So you're a large spider.
Correct.
You move. Well, you're not on your web, buddy.
6.
6 inch. Okay, 6. All right.
So I'm moving towards you.
Wait. Okay. I'm shooting.
Now again, are we saying that your weapon was? I'm going to allow that your weapon was ready.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? I'm in the abyss, buddy. Who the hell is not the hell?
Who the abyss? That's right.
Is in the abyss without being like cocked and
wait,
loaded.
I've got to take a round to load my weapon. So, well, even if you did, you'd have probably a round as she's coming towards you. So, all right. So it's initiative. Oh, we lost you, Dan. Dan's slowing down. Come on, Dan. Come back to me. Mary Rose. Don't start naming him. Dan, you're faded. Call back. We're having I need to go over to his house after this. Exactly. All right, let me try this. I'm going to try call him again. Hey, you're back. It looks like you're back. Hey, you're back.
You know, I think this has happened before. Right as I'm about to die in these things. So I assumed I had been bitten by the spider.
No, we don't.
What happens then? If I die in the abyss, do I come back to the prime material plane? It's just like back and forth?
No, you go straight to hell. You go straight to the abyss. But we're gonna do a special. We're gonna do a special Patreon thing. If you upgrade, you can get Dan some better internet. That's what we're going to.
That's right.
We're gonna spend some money on the internet.
So what did I miss?
You didn't miss anything. It's initiative.
Let's do it.
4.
1.
Okay, so she moves her 60 yards, and so she's 30 yards away, which is awful convenient for you because now that's definitely short range.
Oh, is that short range for crossbow? All right.
Yes, and you're not specialized or anything. We're not using any of those rules from that book that shall not be named. So it's just a straight. You are a man with 1 to 6 hit points. So that's not very.
Damn right. Damn right, I'm a man.
You're a man's man out here. So go ahead. You want
all right.
Armor class 8.
All right. Come on, Bucky. 16.
That is a hit.
I would think so.
All right.
All right. Crossbow bolt. Oh, what kind of bolt am I? Aren't there like heavy bolts and light bolts?
You're using a heavy quarrel.
Oh, I am indeed. Thank you for pointing that out.
Which is so much more powerful than a light one that it's 2 to 5.
2 to 5. How many hit points do you have? Do we know?
I haven't rolled it yet.
You can't have that many.
She's only 17 hit dice, so that's all. She's a special.
Get out of here. Oh, you're 1+1. Have you rolled it?
Wait a minute. Are you looking in the monster manual while playing? This is violation. That's a violation of page 9. But okay.
Have you rolled your hit points?
No, I haven't. I'm waiting to see what damage you have.
All right, fine. I'll go first. 3.
Is that 3 total?
Oh wait, no. I rolled a 3. What is it?
4.
That's 4. 2 to
Yeah.
5. 4.
4 points.
Come on.
I rolled a 4.
So +1.
That's right.
Nice dice.
Don't you, I love these dice. Thank you. They're wonderful. So Charlotte has 1 hit point left.
Oh man.
All right. So now you're reloading at this point, or you're going to try to punch her when she gets to you.
Oh well. Didn't delay. I think I would try. Well, I'm going to try.
Or you could run.
I'm reloading fast. If I win, no, I'm not. No, there's no running in this. I'm reloading.
All right. So she's going to move to she's going to charge you if she wins initiative. So
I better win initiative here.
Yeah. 4.
2.
She charges.
It's on me.
She's like, I'm attack. What's your armor class, Buccaneer? I mean, pirate.
Well, it's a leather armor, right? Hang on. I'm going to get to roll. Can I do 3 dice 6 to roll my dexterity?
Sure.
Thank you. A 2, a 4, a 6, 10.
10.
No bonus.
So you have AC 8.
Okay.
16. That's a hit.
Oh.
You take 1 point of damage. Now you have to roll your hit points, Buccaneer.
Oh, that's right. I'm rolling. 3. Oh, thank God. That would have been terrible. 3.
You have 2. This is compelling. You have 2 hit points. All right. So now make your.
How did we've gone from Go-Delicious versus Scarlet Rose and stuff, right, and the Charon demon.
That's right.
To a Buccaneer versus a large fighter. We have a combined amount of hit points. We have 7 hit points combined.
Yeah, we had 8 hit points combined to start. That's right.
Okay, so
you need to make a saving throw.
Okay, let's do it.
But you get a plus, so that's good.
+2, right?
That's right.
Okay, come on, big money. A 10.
10.
+2 is 12. 12. This sounds terrible.
Yeah, so against poison, you needed a 16 as a 0 level fighter. Even as a first level fighter, you need a 14.
Hang on. As I'm going down,
right, you're praying.
The deity Buccaneers.
That's right, divine intervention.
Ooh, well, let's not even worry about it. We are in the abyss, man. It's going to be some sort of demon. Here we go. 84.
No, that did not happen. Well, we don't even get to know the pirate. He immediately transforms into a larva.
We never even knew his name.
That's right. He was the unnamed pirate. Arr! He went
is that what he...
down with the ship.
Is that what he becomes? One of those larvae?
That's right. That's what they were saying, and I agree.
Oh, shouldn't you have to fight him now?
Really, you're gonna make me? You're just gonna keep this going because we have. Yeah, we have Vic coming on in 5 minutes to do the hex crawl.
All right. Yeah, I guess a larva. I'll just sort of crawl away.
Well, you've become part of the sea of corpses, which makes a perfect sense. Yes,
a gar comes and eats me. I'm fish food.
Swimming in Davy Jones's locker.
Alrighty.
Even they don't want it. They're like, I think it would take time to transform.
That's a hint.
That's a hint. They're like, no, stop.
I'm not sure yet, but I think this show sucks. Okay. Well, let's roll for your spell. We'll do the spell fast.
Yeah, we gotta do spell section. Okay, yeah, that's right. Let's see.
Oh, so yeah, because of my stupid internet, we don't get first encounter. Can't we just? We should get rid of Vic.
What? He's on. You should. Well, you know what? He's gonna come over and strangle you. Him and his.
Oh, that was awkward. Yeah. Okay, what did you roll? What kind of spell?
77 cleric.
Oh, all right. The possibility of a druid spell, right?
Yep. Druid spell.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep.
7
druid
levels.
See, this is interesting now. 6.
6th level. I'll need a die 10, please.
D10. 4.
I cure critical wounds.
Oh, that's
We're all excited that it's a druid spell. And it's cure critical. Well, that should move things along. The dice are trying to help us out.
That's right. They're like, well, they don't want Vic waiting. So you want to really talk about it. So 6th level, cure critical wounds. Already, it's cure critical is kind of a lame spell, in my opinion. That means you have to be 11th level to cast this spell as a druid.
Wow. Okay.
You have to be initiate of the 9th circle.
So if you're rolling up characters and you don't have it, someone's like, well, I'll be the healer. Everyone's like, okay, thank you.
Right.
And then like, I'm going to be a druid. Is everyone like, boo? Is that kind of like when you need the thief and someone decides to be an assassin? Boo.
Well, it depends where they come from, because I used to be in that camp druid. What do you mean you're going to be a druid? They can't heal. But they have one advantage, is they go up relatively quickly, and at second level, they're going to have second level spells, which is Cure Light Wounds. Everything takes a little longer, but they go up much faster. So if you have a DM that gives out experience points properly and allows you to train properly, the druid's going to skyrocket past everyone. So to be 11th level as a druid, you need 200,000 experience points. If you had 200,000 experience points as a cleric, you would be 8th level. So you would not even have access to this spell. The big challenge is you don't get raised dead as a cleric. I mean, sorry, as a druid.
Right.
You get reincarnation, which is the bad part. Right.
Well, and Bill Faucet, our guest today, wrote an article in Dragon Magazine on druids.
Oh, so
this is appropriate about the real druid.
So it just all ties in. It's like we almost planned some of this.
Right?
Except we don't.
So how is it different? So it's level 6 instead of 4. That's different because it's druid.
6 instead of 5. The cleric spells.
Well, that was on Cure Serious Wounds. That's right. I'm sorry. I was on Cure Serious Wounds, right? Cure Critical Wounds, right?
Right.
8 segments is all the same. Everything seems okay. So it all seems to be the same. So, but it's awesome. 3d8 plus 3.
Is it awesome? See, I don't consider it awesome.
Why is it not awesome? It's awesome if I'm hurt.
Okay. Well, if you're an 11th level. You're an 11th level fighter. You probably have 90, 100 hit points. Hey, I need some healing. I'm down to 30. Oh, okay. Now you have 45.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And as the Chamberlain from Australia reminded us, that you also have the squeegee job of making sure that you have the best mistletoe, right? You got to have. It's assumed you have greater mistletoe, because if you don't have greater mistletoe, then things don't work as well.
That's not used enough. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, it's always fun to unpower people, because they don't. Yeah, people love that.
The oak leaves. Well, everyone just assumes that you've done all that nonsense with picking it during the whatever moon or equinox or something, right? And dipping it in whatever water.
Sacrificing small children, if you believe the propaganda against them. Right.
Right? Yeah, I mean, most of the time, it's kind of like, oh man, I got sold. This isn't mistletoe, dude. Dude, you got taken. This bag that you spent 5 gold pieces on.
Right. That's right.
Which, this is oak leaves, dude.
That's right. This is not Abyssal gold. This is not.
Where did you buy this? Who did you buy this from?
That's right. He said it was pure. He said it was pure.
It's oak leaves. You didn't try it out.
That's right.
I'm not gonna waste this spell.
And so
dude, you always gotta try it out.
It's not the train to Bangkok, unfortunately. There you go.
Yeah. Well, all right, there it is. There's really nothing more to be said.
It's 3d8, and unfortunately, the whole this is something that I've house ruled, because for my campaign is that a 5th level spell, Raise Dead, is 5th level, but this only does 3d8. I make it a little more powerful. I either make this a 4th level spell, and then I make Cure Serious a 3rd level spell, so that clerics have more healing power. I leave the druid as the same, because it's really not their strength. Though you could argue, nature has healing powers. So, but again, they've generally nerfed the more clerical type spells. But just so that the game, a lot of my players, they want to have powerful guys and they need healing for that, or else they're constantly trying to rest, and that's a hassle.
Okay.
So there you go. That's that.
So does it sound like, unfortunately, we not have time for our gnome? illusionist.
Yeah, let me see if Vic's ready. I want to make sure Vic has the time he needs, because I told him 45 minutes. I don't want him to be like,
Right.
hey, you ripped me off. Let's see. Let's see if Vic is ready. Yeah, we can't. I don't want to. I'm getting tired of that gnome illusionist thing, because I'm getting my head handed to me. Because now it's all. Though I didn't think I did bad last time. Well, no, I did bad last time. I still did. That's right, because I've just kind of suicided at this point.
You're still alive. Don't be a baby. Come on.
Barely.
Act like a gnome. Put your gnome pants on. Come on, man.
Gnome pants on. Hold on. All right, let me add Sir Dorso here. While we're doing that, let's see. Let me get. Hold on. Let me get him set up here. He's with us.
All right. I gotta find my character sheet.
Always prepared, Dan, right?
I'm not very prepared today. It's a disaster.
Well, your wife trusts you. That's the reason.
All right, let's see. Try and make you a little bit bigger. No, that's good. Hey, there's Vic. How are you, sir?
Just fine. I don't see me, but hey, what the heck?
See,
oh, there I am.
all right, it takes a couple of seconds. We're getting you going.
Is that the 6-second delay in case I use some swear words?
No,
or
that's
something?
just that's the difference between consumer grade internet and the people who, the broadcast things. It's still pretty amazing that, from our houses we can do this kind of craziness. So how they treat you up there up in the Great White North, or now the Great Not So White North?
Yeah, it's well, we still have some snow here and there if you look in the shade.
Oh.
So it's not all gone yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's let's see. Today, well, yes. Hold on. What did I just do? Hope I didn't screw something up. You there? You still there? Oh yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Good. I was on the wrong screen. All right. Cool. Yes. All right. So for those who are new to the show, which there are still people popping in more, especially now that everyone's in house arrest, the
self-imposed house arrest. Right.
As part of our celebration of 1980, which, by the way, I took a picture of this month's picture from your calendar, Dan. I don't know if
I saw that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we got a lot of comments from that. So I may go back to the old one because these pictures are. So I did April's. I will. I think I'm going to try to take pictures of the other one. So we're celebrating 1980, and part of 1980 was the celebration of the release of the Greyhawk folio, which. So both Carlos Lysing and Vic Dorso are huge fans of the Greyhawk campaign, and they've been gracious enough when they have time to come on and kind of do a survey of Greyhawk with our characters, Sonam and Mendy. So, yes. So, Vic, take it away, sir.
Okay. First things first, we got to go back a little bit because Carlos did something and I didn't get to a whole gist of it. Were you guys still at the bay, or are you in the town now inside the Stonefest?
Well, so here's what I've determined, because I'm not a smart man, even though I'm pretty smart as a character. We've been told that time is changing all the time. We keep drifting in and out of periods. So it really doesn't matter. We basically wake up and we show up with whatever DM it is, because there's been at least 3 times each of you have said something, and then we realize, hey, what year is this? And then you tell us the year, and it's not the year that we think it is. So it doesn't matter. We are wherever you want us to be, Vic, at this point.
Damn it. There must be a chronomancer in the works here or something.
Because when we teleported from the ship over to the stone, when we did that roll, we changed time. We've changed time a couple of times, so we are wherever you tell us we are, Vic. That's the beauty of this.
Well, okay. How much money do you gentlemen have on your characters?
How much money? Oh, hold on, I gotta look that up.
Oh, jeez.
I'm not sure it's a ton. I want to say it's a small amount, because let's see, I have 50 gold pieces.
I can't remember. I think I want to borrow some of yours.
You're floating in money. Okay. You're in the town of, let's see here, let's make sure I got my information correct here. Kelton, if I remember right,
yep.
You're in the population of about 2,800 in the Stone Fist.
Yeah, we're up in the northern realms. That sounds about right. Northern areas.
Right. After you've wandered around in the woods.
Let's see.
And you finally popped out in Kelton. Population 2,800. This town is run by some chiefs. Now, these chiefs are all former people from the Bandit Kingdom, so the town is a little lawless, let's just say.
We like lawless.
You like lawless. All right.
Showing this to our friends up in the land. Oops. And right there it is. That's where we're at. The hold of Stonefist.
Right. All right. So you're in the lands. You're in Kelton. You've wandered in the town. What do you do, gentlemen?
Well, we are feeling quite fortunate because as we struggle, we remember that we got lost like 37 times in a row. So we are we're not actually sure what town we're in. So we approach this, if there's a square, and we ask. Right. We
roll me a d20.
I'll roll a d20. I love rolling d20. I rolled a 12.
A 12. You're looking around and you see a sign up on a building. It says the Heavy Glass Tavern.
Ooh, nice. Dan, do we go in?
Yeah, I assume we don't see like people being tossed out the door.
No, you don't.
Yeah, let's go in.
All right, you walk into the Heavy Glass Tavern, and let's see here. There is, I got some information here. Heavy Glass Tavern. There's 6 individuals sitting around in the bar area, and the tavern owner is, he's a surly old fellow. He's sitting behind the bar and says, "What do you want?"
Well, hello. What is thy name? I am Sanam. I try to be as friendly as I can be.
My name is Micro.
Micro. Excellent. What is the name of this?
He's not Micro. This guy is like 6'7" or 8. 350 pounds.
Okay. What is the name of this town, and where are we? We were lost in the forest for days.
Welcome to Kelton. Where are you from? Your voice is not, your manner of speech is not native to here.
No, we are from far away, right, dear sister?
We are. We come from afar, seeking adventure and a way to the city of Greco.
Yes, we're from Safeton, we tell them.
Well, while that's happening, Dan, your character, well, how do I say this nicely? She gets accosted by one of the other bar patrons. was quite
Excuse me?
Your character gets accosted by another one of the bar patrons. You're fondled or groped.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. Do I see who did it?
Oh, sure. You turn around and there's only 6 people in the bar.
Okay. What does he or she look like?
Roll me a D100 and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Roll me a percentage die.
Yeah, I understand. 22.
A 22. That's a gnome.
Oh,
Please,
it's on.
now.
The dice don't lie. It's on.
It's right here. I've got it. You know.
I say to my brother, that little
no male slaps you in the butt and says, "Hey, sweetheart."
All right.
It's
So
quite inebriated.
Okay, so wait, we didn't say what spells we had. How do we do spells here? I don't think we indicated what spells we had memorized.
Well, randomly roll them then.
Sounds good to me.
I have one spell,
Sure.
and I have it all the time. It's my name of...
I hope I get read magic.
Oh, you would want...
I have read magic.
Oh, well, that's going to help you out here.
I have sleep like I normally do.
Okay, I am jumping on that dude.
All right, I want you to add up your... Dan, I want you to add up your...
Oh my God. I have 7 strength.
Yeah, well, I want you to add your strength, your dexterity, and your constitution for me and divide it by 3.
Okay, 27 divided. That would be a 9.
You should just fall down and knock yourself out. That's just save yourself a lot of time. But okay.
I think I'm going to end up becoming I'm going to be enslaved here soon, I think.
All right. Dan, you have a 9. What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? I have a 9. I'm jumping this little gnome.
All right, roll 27 die.
Not in the way he wants. 17.
17. Ooh, it's a hit. What did you hit him with?
Man.
What did you hit him with?
Well, let me see. I hit him with my staff.
Wow,
All
you're
right.
trying... Holy
Oh,
crap, you're just...
No. Bendy don't play that game.
Do I see this happening after he... I'll wait for you to finish.
Right. You do see this happening. I'm sure you're going to sit back on the bar stool, James, and say...
Eat some peanuts.
Yeah.
What's
Eat
a
some
staff
pine
do?
nuts. It'd be pine nuts in the northern reaches, you know.
Okay. What's a staff do? 1 to 6?
D6?
All right. 3.
A 3. Ooh. All right. He's still up. He looks at you and goes, "Really?" And let me see.
Probably an illusionist.
Ooh. What's your AC?
10.
A 10? Oh. He picks up a bar bottle and
Bottle.
yeah, or
Tankard,
or
yeah.
whatever, tosses it at you, and
It hits James's character.
no, it hits you.
Hey, I have AC 7. Slow down.
And tankard would do. Oh, it does 1 point of damage.
All right. I have 2
All right.
left.
All right, go.
All right. Is it I'm declaring. I'm hitting this guy with my staff.
So I see
right.
this now, right? Is
Right. You see
Autumn and Marissa with us, or they're not with us?
They did not walk into the bar.
Okay, so it's
with
just
you.
us two. So
Right.
I see that my sister's about to do a straight chop down with the staff. I'm like, what's going on? What are you doing, Mendy? She's not saying anything. She's enraged.
Mindy?
She's enraged.
I say I'm hitting this handsy gnome.
So I'm going to. So I hear what she says. I'm going to try to jump on the gnome.
All right, roll a 20-sided die.
All right.
Everybody?
Well, yeah.
No initiative? All right.
Oh, you can roll initiative. Roll D6. We'll just see who goes
All right,
first.
go ahead, Dan. Roll your d6.
6.
5.
And I rolled a 14 on my to hit.
Okay. Ooh, I missed completely. So your turn.
Uh,
Go for it. What are you doing?
well, you rolled. He rolled a 14. Let's see what I rolled. I rolled an 18. Ooh.
Ooh. All right.
So I'm going to try to just, after my sister swings at him again, I'm going to try to grab him.
All right. Go for it, Dan.
Wait, what am I going for? Rolling again?
Ro-
Oh,
Yeah.
no, you
19?
you rolled to hit. You rolled to hit. You rolled a 14. You hit already.
Oh, I hit. Oh, God, I'm sorry, I hit.
All right.
3 hit points.
3 hit points. All right. He's still up. He's still moving. And the gnome decides that he picks up a chair and throws it at you.
We're in a bar brawl, Mendy. You just started a fight.
Yeah,
Missed.
well,
The chair misses and sails over your head,
Well, I rolled a.
going behind the bar and wrecking part of the inventory.
So anyone else joining this fight? Because I rolled an 18 to grab him.
Yeah, you managed to grab him. You're gonna grapple him. And let's see here. I gotta go back to my rules here. I'm gonna roll a percentage and see how many. If we, oops, yep. All right, three of his buddies. Let's roll numbers here. Number 22, which is we just had that. That's a gnome you just rolled, right,
Yeah,
Dan?
we rolled a gnome.
All right. Number 16 is a human. Number 91 is a half-orc. And number 64 is another human. Uh-oh. You guys are in big trouble.
why aren't they on our side? There should be a
They
chance
jump
they're on
into
our
the
side.
fight on the side of the gnome.
Oh, come on. Everyone hates gnomes.
Now you know why.
You should do a reaction roll. I do. They're obnoxious. And
Miss,
tricky.
hit, and a hit. I have 2 hits. So, using their fists, the other 2 of the 4 come in blazing, and one goes after Dan's character. Oh, they both go after you, Dan.
I'm not afraid.
You're not afraid?
That's 1 hit point for each of them.
3, 4 more points of damage. Where are you at, damage?
How many?
4.
I am at -2.
-2. Oh, 1 more and you're done. By my rules, you're done. You're going to be knocked out. All right.
So it's a new round. So I'm going to cast. So I see what's happening here. I'm just going to cast. I'm throwing out my rose petals and dust. I'm going to cast the sleep spell.
Okay.
Fire on my paws. I'm just dropping it right in front of me.
All right. Let's see here. I need the table here really quick. And since you're throwing out your sleep spells, we'll see if you put everybody to sleep.
Yeah. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
You're alone. Oh, great. I didn't expect you guys to throw a sleep spell.
So you use your sleep spell for inappropriate purposes? Is that what you're saying?
I have a 15 comeliness. I don't need a sleep spell. I don't need it. Sodom doesn't need to do that. He's just.
Well, Sodom, you only put 2 of them to sleep. The 2 burly fighter-looking types are they look at you like, yeah, that's not going to work. But 2 of them, the gnome that started it and the half-orc drop.
So I like, look, if it's initiative, hey, why are we fighting? Isn't there any police? I look to the barkeep. Where's the constables here? We're being attacked.
Right.
You're the ones that are new here. Get out of my bar.
All right, we'll leave. We'll leave.
The The gnome was the constable.
That's right. You just slept the sheriff.
This is his men.
Right.
These are the other
This is
guards.
actually the police station. You just.
That's right.
Well, here, so
That's right.
So there's 2 left. The rest of them are sleeping, and they're going to keep attacking us.
Right.
Basically, they're going to keep fighting with us, right?
Well, no. I'm going to make a roll here really quick and see if they obey the bar owner here, and they do. The 2 guys back off and start attending to their 2 friends, and while you 2 are shuffled out of the
I
bar.
throw out a couple of gold pieces. Sorry for your troubles there, sir. We didn't mean to
Right.
cause it.
Walk out of the bar, back into the square. What are you going to do?
I tell Mendy she must keep her lustful charms covered in this town.
Wait, I'm unconscious, aren't I?
No,
I'm at -2.
Nope. You're
You
awake.
got you got
Oh.
basically like subdual damage. It was.
Oh, okay. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. We need to send a message to people that we're not to be taken lightly.
We almost got killed, but
Almost, brother.
yes,
Almost.
yeah.
All right, what are you going to do?
Well, we're going to look for another place, an inn this time, that we can rest, because we don't want to... we also need to find out what year this is, because we have no idea what part of Greyhawk we're in. We kind of... Do we know where this town is? Do we have any idea that we're in the hold of the Stone Fist, or...
Well, basically, but you've got fate ideas
Gotcha.
of it. You know what I mean?
Okay. So we're going to try to...
All right, roll 20-sided die there, one of you 2.
Go ahead, Dan. You roll it. I'm going to try to look for an inn.
What am I rolling?
D20.
20-sided die.
Yeah. 5.
A 5. You see down the way, you see a brightly lit by lanterns inn, and it says the Nimble Nugget
Nimble
Inn.
Nugget.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we put our cloaks up so that we're not as gender specific, and we walk into that inn.
Before you walk into the inn, there's a security guard at the door, and he says, "Drop your weapons."
Ah, dear sir, because I don't have a staff or anything. I have.
Yeah.
I'm a man of peace. There, I just have my fishing line. I'm a fisherman. A backpack, wineskin. I don't even have a dagger. Nothing to see here.
He says, "Then you wouldn't mind me frisking you, looking for weapons."
Oh,
Not again.
sure, of course you can search for me. Absolutely.
This town is very handsy.
That's right. This is like the TSA. This is kind
So-
of run by the Homeland Security or something.
I mean,
He does a basic cursory search, and if you have any weapons on you, like a dagger or something, he relieves.
I don't have
need
a dagger. I do have 24 darts on me, but I said these are my throwing darts for game.
Yeah. Well, he relieves
Oh,
them.
okay.
Dan, please use
I say
all
you
your
need to
weapons.
you need to check my brother's nimble nuggets.
Why? Why would you do that? I look at you like,
Hey, if it's gonna happen to me, it should happen to you.
I'm not going to search his goblin makers.
that's right. Goblin.
It's half orc
That's right.
makers.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I say yes. I say yes. You can take my staff. Obviously, my reputation precedes me, and I hand over my staff.
I know nothing of your reputation. He looks at you and he says, "When's the last time you 2 have had a bath?"
Well,
What year is it?
He tells you the year, and it's what did we agree on?
it was 600 at one point.
Right.
We
And
went
then
back in time. Now.
Right.
It was.
I've never had
I think
a
it was 594, 595,
Yeah,
something like
sounds
that.
about right.
And we've
Right.
gone back in time.
That's right.
James? So I say I've never had a bath.
Oh, my mom gave me my last bath at this point because we're like 7 years
Right.
ago.
He says.
Hey!
He says.
Oh, my God.
He
This
says
is-
before you're.
Squirrel.
Hi. Sorry.
Is he rolling the dice for you?
No, yeah, no, he nibbled. He
Oh,
nibbled a Greyhawk, man.
He's telling you what he thinks about this segment. He's a
He's eating it.
he's a tough
well,
he's a tough
Dan,
critic.
you know how the hierarchy at your house is, don't you? It's your wife, your
Yeah.
daughter, the cats.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm the knucklehead up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so
All
what's
right.
happening?
So he says, when you go outside, talk to Miss Gloria. She'll set you up with a room.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. What's your name, dear sir?
Brutus. We'll just call him Brutus for now.
Go ahead.
I said, Brutus, could you tell us the most direct route to the city of Greyhawk?
Greyhawk? I couldn't tell you that. But you may ask Miss Gloria. Maybe she'll have some patrons in here that would know that for you.
Thank you, kind sir.
I hand him a silver piece for his. Hold my recreational darts, please, sir.
He says, "Don't worry," and he puts it in his jacket. The cat wins.
It's all over
there
my
you go.
dice.
Now, why are we even?
The official dice roller of Dan's
I'm sorry,
house.
Vic. Now we've lost it all.
The segment is gone.
Cats are throwing dice. I don't know what else to say. This is compelling. This is going to be the highlight of our 2020.
A cat video.
That's right. I'm just going to loop that on. I got to write. What time is this at? 1:31. Putting that out on Twitter.
Yeah. All right. So as you're,
we're going to go find Miss Gloria as we walk into the tap in.
All right. When you walk in the door, there's a young lady standing there, and she goes, "Welcome to the Nimble Nugget. How may I help you?" And she's at a lectern, and she's looking at you and she's got a pretty smile on her face, blonde curly hair,
Oh, good. Well, hello. Are you Miss Gloria?
No, I'm not, but I can get her.
Oh, well, we could talk to her later. What is your name?
You don't need my name.
Oh, you don't have a name? That's how mysterious.
No, I said you don't need my name.
Oh, but how am I gonna speak to someone as beautiful as you? I should
just address me as
Miss. Ooh, I like Miss. I just hope you don't dismiss me too soon before we have a chance to talk.
And she turns to Missy and says, "Is he yours?" Dan's moving around here.
It's a disaster. The battery's about to die on the iPad. The cat knocked over everything. This cat is going insane. Is grabbing all of my familiars out of control.
Dan, you did get out the catnip gold and throw it on the floor and let him crawl around on it.
Yeah, where's that stuff instead of mistletoe, the catnip toe that you had? So.
Yeah, catnip toe.
Yeah. I could probably do something like that because this cat's out
They
of
got
control.
arts and crafts. They got painting. They also, the people wanted to know what did the cat roll on the 20 that he rolled.
Yeah.
Where is that? 11.
Rolled an 11. Oh, that's not too bad.
It's better than average.
And at this point, if people haven't thrown up their dinner, they have if they're watching your screen as you swing it around.
We're in the what is it? The corpse of the ocean of corpses.
The sea of corpses.
I'm getting nauseous.
So Miss addresses you, Dan, and says, "Is he yours?" After your brother has tried to pick her up from the.
Yes, unfortunately, we are related.
Okay. Well, she looks at you and says, she looks at you, Dan, your character specifically, and says, "How can I help you, young lady?"
Well, we're seeking information. We are trying to make our way to the city of Greyhawk.
Oh, well, welcome to the Nimble Nugget. Um, Let me get Miss Gloria for you. And she walks over and rings a little bell, and a minute later, a lady in her about her 50s and dressed really elegantly walks out, and she comes out and says, um, "I'll take it from here, Miss." And Miss walks away, and Miss Gloria addresses you both and says, "How may I help you?"
Hi, Miss Gloria. So,
What my sister is trying to say, my
what?
younger sister, who I have to protect now that we are alone here, distant, is we are looking for fine room and board. We are adventurers of the highest regard, and we are seeking eventually safe passage back to Greyhawk, and we had heard that someone of your means and beauty would be able to help us.
"Oh, certainly, sir." She goes, "Would you like separate rooms, or would you be together?"
No, we want separate rooms.
Together.
Okay.
No, it's quite
All
all
right.
right, Mendy. You're old enough now. You should be able to sleep on your own.
All right. The fee is 2 gold pieces a night.
Oh, well, we easily
That
have
does not include food.
You should also sleep on your own, brother.
That's right. Oh, we'll see. Well, it depends. But yes, 2 gold pieces, that's no problem. And how much for a drawn bath and for a fine, what was the meal for tonight?
Well, considering the state of your odoriferousness,
Yes.
I'm going to charge you a gold piece for the both of you to have a bath.
Oh, wonderful. We appreciate it. Being adventurers who have defeated the Black Sea Pirates and fought the Ice Barbarians, we have plenty of funds for these type of things.
Okay. Yeah, well, she says, "Well, follow me," and she brings you upstairs and opens up 2 rooms, and Dan, your Missy, looks at it and goes, "Oh, heaven." And she sees fluffy pillows and everything else for you to crawl into, and it's really nice. James, they bring you down, they open the door, and it's a janitor's closet. No. Actually, it's a quite nice room. It's a very highbrow.
Oh, wonderful. It's the life we think we're going to have. So this is wonderful. We like that. So
Very highbrow.
love it.
And about 45 minutes later, there comes a knock on your door, both of your doors, and they say your baths are prepared, and you're brought down to the end of the hallway into a room. It's got 2 separate baths divided by a wall, and nice hot soapy water is waiting for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is the life, sister. Why we should have. I cannot wait to when we are the prince and princesses of Greyhawk.
Would you like your clothing laundered?
Oh, yes, please. The only thing I don't give them is my cloak. I leave that. I don't have the cloak that was given to me laundered. I'll keep
Okay.
that with me.
All right. So about an hour later, after many numerous fills of warmer water to keep you well, you get out and you're looking like a prune.
It's okay.
And you dry off, and you're giving towels and a robe to walk back to your room.
Well, wonderful. I don't need a towel. I just walk straight back to my room.
No, they exist.
Okay, so I use a towel, and we head back. We clean up, and I guess we'll have dinner if that's possible, because we want to talk to
right.
Miss Gloria about. Mendy, we need to see if there's a caravan that's headed that way. It's probably safer if we go on with Caravan.
Indeed.
All right, you go downstairs to the dining room, and it is opulent, gentlemen. Very, very opulent. And seated there there's a let's see here. Oh, yes, there's a special occasion happening inside the bar. Looks like a wedding party is off to one side, and they're very highbrow. There's 31 people inside this bar right now.
Do I
So
see that gnome?
No, you don't.
Good.
But with 31 people there's tons of humans, some elves, you know. There's a good variety of people here. No half orcs, of course. It's all highbrow, very, very to do. You know what I mean? James, your character is like seeing a lot of pretty ladies in here. Right?
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm trying not to be distracted because I do want to get to Greyhawk. So, but it may be difficult for me to focus on my mission.
Yeah, listen.
Roll a 20-sided die for me,
Sure.
James.
20.
Oh, you're distracted.
Damn it.
Brother, do you know how many beautiful women there are in the city of Greyhawk? You really want to move on.
It has been a long time, sister, that I have spent quality time with such beautiful women. Surely we can spend a night here.
Well, you've already paid
That's
for
right.
a
Well,
night.
surely we could spend. Why should we? I've spent too much time with you and the other two. Perhaps it's time for me. I definitely. I'm distracted.
You're looking at the menu and you're seeing quail and grouse and goose on the menu,
wonderful.
and fine dining reindeer steaks and
Elves on the half shell.
stuff like that. Oh yeah, there looks like some type of food you've never heard before. There's foods you've never heard before, but you each find something you would really like to eat, but the prices on the menus are, I mean, you've never seen the prices this high before at any place you've stopped in, in your hometown. Sure. It is very highbrow. The prices are, I would say, about 150% more than you're normally used to paying for it.
Well,
but everything comes out on fine china and stuff like that. It's really good. As you're looking, you can see the little potatoes and the cranberries and everything else. So,
well, I say, Mendy, you should talk to Miss Gloria and see if there's a caravan. I will investigate some of these other people here, particularly that one and that one over there.
Okay, I'm gonna strike up a conversation.
All right.
With Miss Glory.
Miss Gloria sends you to another individual in the bar. Roll a percentage die, Dan.
Okay. Wow. 100.
Ooh. Roll again. That one does not work.
Was it Orcus?
No, it was a half-orc criminal.
52. Well, maybe they didn't realize he was a criminal. 52.
Yes. This will work just fine. You walk up to an individual by the name of Liam, and he greets you and he shakes your hand and he says, "How may I help you, young lady?"
Hi, we are seeking information as to whether perhaps there's any caravans that would be leaving in the direction of the city of Greyhawk.
I don't know about Greyhawk, but there will be something going down to the Pale.
Is that in the direction of Greyhawk?
Yes.
Tell me about this caravan.
It's going to leave in about 3 days, carrying trade goods.
Do you think it might be in need of any protection?
Dan, roll a 20-sided die for me.
Okay. Oh, that's right. The cat took it. I've got it. 18. I roll better than my cat.
Yeah. You're quite charmed with this individual. He is really good looking,
Oh.
and he tries to charm you.
Literally trying to charm me.
Yeah, he's trying to pick you up. He's not handsy like the gnome, but he's got a gentle touch, and he's talking to you.
He doesn't have a holy symbol, though.
No
Okay.
holy symbols.
Okay. Will you be going on this by any chance?
No,
will
I
you-
don't.
no?
It won't be, but I do know the individuals that are going to be leading the caravan, and I could make some introductions if you want.
Yes, well, perhaps we should talk about it more. Where are you sitting?
Right over here, and he points at a table over across the way.
Might there be space for me?
Oh, of course, young lady. And he pulls out the chair and he says, "What is your libation of choice tonight?"
Oh well, what's on the menu? What's the choices?
Well, you are at the Nibble Nugget, the finest establishment here in town. What would you like?
Well, some wine would be nice.
And he
Is
signals.
this turned into a dating show?
He signals the barkeep, and a glass of wine magically appears in front of you.
Literally magically appears?
No, it's a one of the servants, waiters, maitre d's come around and give you a bottle of wine and a glass.
So he's charmed me, and he's created food and drink. I'm suspicious.
Yeah, well, James, your turn.
Well,
What are you doing?
Well, you said I'm distracted, so I will approach, after eating my foie gras and various other delicacies. I make it well known that Mendy is my sister, not my spouse, and that I move towards the most attractive female there, and explain to her how I'm headed to Greyhawk to claim my father's inheritance.
Oh, she looks at you with a sneer. And she's quite good looking. I just rolled a 16. So she's very good looking. And she's got the bearing of a strong woman.
Well, I like the strong types who don't like me. That's my whole life. So I ignore that. Are you kidding me? That doesn't bother me whatsoever. Marissa hates my guts. The cleric hates my guts. My sister hates my guts. That's par for the course. So I'm Somnum, great prestidigitator from the great city, free city of Seaford. Safeton, excuse me.
She looks at you and says, "And that's supposed to be what to me?"
Your opportunity for adventure.
And she looks at you and just shakes her head and walks away.
Well, it's not going.
You've been
it's
rejected.
not going that well.
You've been rejected.
Yeah, so perhaps maybe I should have my sleep spell ready again, but that's okay. That's for another time. All right, so we need to find the caravan because we need to get Bill on in a few minutes. So, is it going to be possible to land a caravan so that we can go on a caravan next time?
Yes, Dan, roll a 6-sided die.
Okay. 6.
All right, later in that evening, Dan, you're introduced to a caravan merchant of elvish nature, and he agrees to take you as far as the Pale.
Okay, excellent.
In 3 days.
In 3 days, the caravan is leaving. That's when the rest of his goods should be assembled, and his caravan will be leaving off with. He's got a goodly amount of things, and he says, "Do you wish to pay for your passage, or do you wish to act as guards for the passage?"
We are very skilled in the arts of magic, and we can certainly help defend the caravan from any foes that would be foolish enough to interfere with its passage.
All right. Mindy, he whispers in your ear, it's going to cost you a gold piece, but your brother 4.
Well, that's completely understandable. So,
All right.
so we're paying to be guards.
Well,
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, we don't have much of a choice.
That's
Of course,
true.
we don't have to be good. We don't have to be
Okay.
good. We can be bad guards and just run away, which is probably what we'll do if we're paying for it. And then
That's what happens when you underpay your
yeah,
hirelings.
you pay monkeys, you
Your henchmen.
you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So
he just doesn't see the value of your brother in the being able to fight. And
He's a lover.
You,
He said it many times. He's a lover, not a fighter.
yeah.
So he told me.
While you, on the other hand, he sees more potential and everything else. So
The 7 strength.
your
Yes.
reputation precedes you as a you just
See, I told you, buddy. That's what you do. You send a message.
with your staff. You just someone brushes up to you and you assault them. That's just
Yeah, I attack.
so
You're walking
we'll
down
fast
hallways
forward
naked.
3 days now. We'll just fast forward to 3 days, and when you find the caravan, James, the lady that you were trying to pick up in the bar, yeah, she's the captain of the guard of the merchant train.
I knew there was something wonderful about. I knew we would meet again and spend days
And she
together.
looks at you and says, she looks at you and says, "Get in line."
Oh, to be behind you is worth everything. Thank you.
Okay, gentlemen.
Hey, so again, congratulations on your successful Kickstarter. But as I don't know if you heard, Dan, but now that we are successful backers,
Yes, you're gonna bitch and
yeah.
complain.
Where's our stuff?
Yeah, where's the damn module?
Where's our stuff?
The damn module's at the printer. I'm waiting. I should have it not this next Friday, but the Friday after. Then it'll go out. I also, gentlemen, I'll announce it here. The special bonus. Everybody's going to get a CD PDF of the Keep Up Blood Red Falls with digital maps for the players and the dungeon masters. 30 original NPCs or player characters that you run in it, and I'm going to throw in my special brawl, my mini module for getting in bar fights onto the CD. So if you're just a PDF only, you'll be getting the disc. But if you have the module, you're going to get the PDF or the disc and the module itself. So that is that's a special little bonus I'm throwing in for everybody. And if you threw in over, was it $45? I'll be sending you a groggy. Miniature groggy.
Looking forward to getting our groggy that will be put here.
Yeah, miniature groggy. Now, I am waiting for some parts from China that'll make the groggy, the dye that you put inside the groggy, will light up.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
I'm putting a LED light in the bottom base here because I've modified it enough. And then if you put a clear dye in there, it'll light up for you, and it'll have a little battery pack on the back end. So that is what I'm throwing in for it. So for everybody that went over $45 or whatever. And then what are the gentlemen? We haven't discussed this in a while. Maybe we want to do it offline. But what's going to be the next giveaway?
Well,
have we figured this one out?
Well, we got to. I think we'll definitely want to do a giveaway in May, and we'll talk about that. We can talk about that offline. So, but yeah, I think that would be great. Let's. I know again, Vic, you've been a great supporter of the show, and we love all your stuff. So. And again, congratulations on the Kickstarter and those brawl rules that you saw. They're also, is that part of the Kickstarter as well?
Yes, and I've written it I've compacted it even more. And part of the brawl rules is I just used them on you guys. There's 20 different taverns I've already put together and 100 different combatants for inside the bar. So it's a pretty easy thing for a dungeon master to throw things together and make a little bar brawl at the end or beginning of an adventure, depending on what you want to do.
So again, thank you, Vic, for giving me a chance to look that over. And so basically, you know, if you've ever DM'd, which most of us watching, you know, the party starts in a tavern and they want to do something and you haven't figured that all out. With Vic's added feature, you've got the patrons, the kind of the bar, and if there is a fight, you know how to resolve it without it being, you know, a lethal combat, unlike Dan, who wants to murder everyone that gropes him. So, yeah, that was.
And look at it, Dan's at a loss for words, you know.
Well,
hey, listen, it worked out. 1 gold piece for me, 4 for James. It worked. It's already paying dividends.
Okay. But I'm giving Dan some slack because he had the frustration that he normally doesn't have when we do this show, which is he shows up here, he goes to the bathroom, he sits down, and he's watching me like a dervish whirlwind going around trying to get stuff working, and I empathize with him, so we're cutting him some slack.
Thank you.
He's just got to wrangle cats. That's all, you know.
we only have the hellhound here. We don't have the cat. The cat.
Oh yeah, the cats rule the house. See, you know?
Exactly.
It's looking at Dan with evil intent.
Yeah. If you stop moving for 5 minutes, he's eating your face off. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We know that for a fact. Well, Vic, say hello to Jeannie the Strangler for us, and we're going to get Bill on. So we're going to take a quick welcome to Grog Talk. This after second half, and we have a new little figure. And so, Dan, why don't you introduce our guest?
Yeah, okay, so it is our pleasure to have Bill Faucet on the show. Bill is an editor, anthologist, game designer, book packager, fiction writer, and historian. But most importantly for our purposes, he was a frequent contributor to Dragon Magazine in the late 70s and early 80s, and he was also a partner at Mayfair Games and was responsible for the Roll Aids division of Mayfair Games. And so, Bill, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for
welcome.
coming.
Thank you for having me on.
So it's great to have you. We're big fans of your work, and so what I'd like to do is maybe you could take us back to the 70s and how you first learned about Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, how I first learned that was, but I was already a gamer. I'd been a gamer since, Avalon Hill was bringing them out in the 60s. And you had to go buy a board game for like $20 back then, which is like $50 today, in like Fields or Macy's. And so I hung around with other gamers, and one of the gentlemen, a fellow by the name of Bill Hoyer, I don't think he's around anymore, observed that he was doing this new role-play game and explained what it was to me in broad terms. And a bunch of us said, yeah, we'll try it. He wanted to test it out. And he actually was getting mimeograph sheets from Gary. So I wasn't part of the original group by any means, but Bill was. And then he was testing on us and then reporting back. So that was my first DM, and that went on for several years. And he taught it to me. And fairly quickly, as he got overwhelmed, Bill had a job we were all cautious of. He was worked for the IRS. And Bill eventually turned the DMing over to me, and I was working on that for a while. And getting involved in going down to the Dungeon Hobby Shop in Lake Geneva, since I lived in Milwaukee, I got to know some people. And somehow when Dragon Magazine came out, I found myself doing the centerfolds for the first 40-some issues and working with the people there. And those were great people.
So do you remember the first time you played? So, I was a wargamer too. Many of us transitioned from wargaming. And, I distinctly remember asking where the board was. I was very confused. Do you remember your first game?
I have some memories of my first game. It was exciting. It was different. It was a way. I've been reading science fiction and fantasy. I have read all the things. I read Tolkien. I'm sure many people have told you that D&D was a combination of Tolkien and Fritz Lieber's Farford and the Grey Mouser and stuff like that. I had read them, fact, I was just really excited about it. And Bill was a good DM, so it was one of those things where I went back and babbled at my non-gamer, now ex-wife, for hours about how exciting this was, and she thought I was crazy. And eventually, that sort of went on. When we split, she wanted to name Gary as correspondent, not a woman. For the cause of the divorce. My second marriage was to a gamer.
Yes, we will get to that, right?
And so I was really, I knew what to expect, but I did not understand what it was going to. And I think what really excited me wasn't just the format or the change, but the ability to do storytelling and exchange it was something that, and particularly in those early days, you very much were writing stories rather than running numbers. Remember, the first set was very open on just very, very things. It still qualified under quantitized storytelling, but it was much more open. And so I was just incredibly excited about it. And I babbled, and we couldn't wait for the next session, and we all became friends because we would hang around and talk about what we were going to do to confuse Bill in the next session and things like that. So we were getting prepped, and it became very all-consuming fairly quickly as far as spare time. And the other big advantage I had was that I worked for an insurance company in their one of their offices, in a main office. So I had access to a mimeograph and a copier, which at the time were both expensive options. So I worked for Wausau Insurance Group, and so for our group, I would go to the office and at that time and run game sheets or maps or player sheets that were not otherwise available yet that we had made up. And so, in fact, when we got T-shirts for our game club, it said sponsored by Wausau Insurance, but they don't know it across the bottom.
So you have something in common with Gary Gygax, right? Because didn't he work for an insurance company?
Yes, actually, Gary was a hard worker before TSR D&D caught on, because of TSR, as you know, went back before that for Tanktics and all that. Yeah, that's why it's called Tactical Studies Rules, and that's why it's never called Tactical Studies Rules, because D&D overwhelmed it. But anyhow, yeah, Gary sold insurance, and then at night he was a cobbler. He was very good with his hands, and he worked in the basement because he had probably the most expensive option possible. He had a couple of sons and 3 daughters.
And you remember the first, so you met him, I assume, at some point, right? I mean, back in the day.
Rather quickly into the process. I met Gary probably about a month or so later when I went down to the dungeon, and Bill, the whole group of us went down and we all met Gary. And that was back just when they were getting the building before Dragon started, but they were just getting ready to open the Dungeon Hobby Shop in Lake Geneva, which later went under, or they shut. And it was impressive. Gary cut quite a figure with his beard and his already gray hair, and he got that distant look in his eye whenever he was talking about something that was just incredibly impressive. And Gary was not perfect, but boy, Gary sure was brilliant on occasion, and we all saw it, and it was exciting. I mean, let's look at it. This is being part of what effectively became a cultural and world-changing event.
Right.
I mean, D&D is understood by probably everyone over the age of 6 in this country. And its terms and ideas have permeated everywhere. One of the things I did was work with the Navy SEALs as a historian for a while. I had not officially, but with the SEAL Museum in Fort Pierce, and putting some books together on them. And I helped do a video program on history of the Navy SEALs based on a series I had created of books. And we were interviewing various people. One of them was this old Master Chief. Now, you got to understand, Master Chiefs are sergeants. These are about as grizzled and as hardcore and the guys who run it. And this is a Navy SEAL Master Chief back from the days when there weren't that many SEALs, and they were quite exotic, and tough doesn't even begin to describe it. And he was talking about, we're doing this interview, and he was talking about a minute about a mission he had where he went into a village and there was a big sand dune above it. And they started taking fire from the sand dune, and they hid behind a wall. They had to decide if they're going to fight it out or not. And this old 40 to 50-year-old Master Chief looked up and said, and I looked up there and I said, you know, we don't have enough hit points. And called it an airstrike. And I went, hit points? Oh my God, we've taken over all the cults. And that's when I knew we had it made, that we had won. And I was no longer an isolated nerd, one of 6 in the game club at my 700 student high school.
Yeah, and who did we have on? I'm trying to remember who we had on recently was talking about, maybe it was Tim Cass, when he went to...
That's what I worked for.
Yeah, right, a Dragon. He went to his first Gen Con, and he was amazed to see there was other people out there that played war games. And he was a war gamer at that time, right? And so this idea that you're not alone. And now it's crazy now, because now it's not embarrassing to say that you play Dungeons and Dragons.
Now the nerds get dates. When I went to high school, the jocks got dates.
Yep.
I mean, the world has changed. I was born in the wrong generation. I'm very frustrated with it.
Or I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I needed to be born 10 years ago, not 70. But anyhow, yes, in fact, Gen Con 1 was quite a thing. It was in the Legion Hall, as I remember, and I don't think there were maybe 100 of us there. I had just started working with the Dragon, so I showed up. We just put the first magazine out, and it became, by the way, one of their best profit centers. It took off quick and shocked the hell out of all of us. And Kim did a good job guiding it in, and the other 2 people there were both also excellent. Kim Mohan, who's the only person left still with TSR from those early days, and he was one of like employees 7 full-time, and then a guy named Joe Orlowski, who I later partnered to open a shop with, and we looked around and people were playing games, mostly railroad games and D&D. Actually, Gary loved railroad games, and so it was you left it really energized. And by Gen Con 2, which had gone from Geneva Convention to Gen Con by then, at the Horticultural Hall, Hardy Hall we called it, it was, well, when we hit 200, we cheered. Think about that. Gen Con had 200 attendees, and we cheered the milestone. Gary got up and announced it. It was amazing, and it was a good group. Hardy Hall's a funny place. It's like an old Roman villa. The center of it is open. It's like a square of buildings with a big open center. And so we put all the games. I helped set up, and we put everybody helped. I mean, there were 100 of us, you know. And we put all the games in the center because it was nice weather until the thunderstorm came at 3:00 in the afternoon. And then suddenly there was a mad scramble to haul tables. And I was a Napoleonic gamer, and we had 3,000 figures out on 8 tables. And we had to get them all back under cover. The game never did continue. But the thing I remember distinctly about the nature of who was there was I looked around and realized that there were exactly 6 women in that crowd. And 4 of them were named Gygax. Yeah, and the other one, by the coincidence, turns out to be now my wife. But of course, at the time, I couldn't even talk to her out of sheer fear.
Wow, that's a great reaction roll.
Oh, she was, because you meet her in 1980, right? So she was there.
I met her in 85, but I knew her in 77.
Okay, so that was...
I met her in 77.
Okay,
but she was Brian Bloom's girlfriend at the time. The president of TSR.
Yes. Oh.
This is a big no poaching sign.
Wait, because I just saw, yeah, but then he marries somebody else. I saw that in one of the Dragon magazines where you wrote something. There was a little advertisement saying, "Congratulations to Brian Bloom and somebody else on their upcoming marriage." So,
actually, she and Brian broke up, and a while later, he married his secretary, whom we all knew too. That's why that was in there.
And we learned that Gene Wells was dating somebody. Didn't we learn that last episode? I can't remember who Gene Wells was dating. I can't remember. I don't want to say a name and get it wrong. But so how did you end up?
Those names, only my own.
Okay.
My own life I can expose. But like gaming today, if you can find a woman you like that games, I mean, you made an effort.
Yeah, indeed. So tell me, because I when did you first get involved with Dragon magazine? Because I know that you wrote a ton of articles for Dragon magazine. I assumed you were a freelancer, essentially.
I was a freelancer.
Okay.
Yeah, I was never an employee of TSR. I was always. I couldn't afford to take the pay cut to work for TSR. I was making good money as an executive at an insurance company and sneaking 3 or 4 hours of writing for the Dragon every day and to boot.
Oh, well, Jim Ward said that he couldn't take the job until Gary could match his wages as what, like a junior high school teacher?
Yeah, exactly. And I was a training manager for an insurance company.
Yeah.
And as such, I was making more than Gary did the first year. He sacrificed a lot to get it going. So did Arneson, by the way. We should never leave Dave out. Dave was part of the brain trust that put it together. He organized the first campaign. I mean, Dave was a big contributor. He wasn't a businessman, and he didn't want to get tied down with the business side, so he sold out maybe a little early.
And I saw, and I don't think this, my suspicion is this is not accurate. I saw online a suggestion that you'd played in Artisan's Blackmore campaign, but I know you're not from Minneapolis. Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Absolutely not.
Did you ever get to meet him?
I'm about a year after that.
Okay. Did you ever meet him or Dave Wesley, who also is, of course, a big Napoleonic gamer?
Oh yeah, I knew Wesley from the Empire's headquarters in Chicago.
Okay.
So based on Napoleonics that Todd Fisher opened, and lasted about 10 years, and we played there every week, and he was part of the Napoleonic Society too. But Dave Arneson, yes, I knew Dave almost from the beginning, for my beginning, not his. And we got along, and in fact, at Mayfair at one point, we brought Dave in to design some modules very early in the Rolaids period. Brought him down from Minneapolis and put him in an office for a couple of weeks with one of our people, and generated a couple of Rolaids modules that were eventually put out. And
so how did it get to be that you were started writing for Dragon? So who approached you? Because I noticed your early articles. The first article I see is November 1978 in Dragon 20, and you have a couple more, and they seem to be more historically based, right, war game based. Like you have an article on the Aztecs, Napoleonic miniatures. You have a traveler article, I think, was actually one of the first ones I saw. So how did that start? I mean, how did Tim Kask approach you?
There was some uncredited things before that, too.
Oh.
Every Dragon magazine had a centerfold, sort of a gaming project or something. I did about 28 of those in a row. From before those writing up until I left to go to Mayfair. Actually, I went to Mayfair, and they said I could leave. And I said, "You're right. I'm working for a competitor now. In fact, I own part of it. I'm probably not appropriate." I think the first person who talked to me was at the hobby shop, Joe Orlowski, saying, we need help on the magazine. We need articles. And what can you generate? Because I had been writing material for them sort of anonymously for a while, not full articles, but often generating stuff or creating it. And then having ideas that we were using in what was now my campaign, like the little, remember the spell aids, the little squares that had all the spells. Yes. I created those, and and so all those, the Chosen Path Adventure, Elf Quest, I think, Druid Quest, I think it was called, and so, I can't remember the name anymore, but it was the first Chosen Path they did. I did as a centerfold, and they said, "Hey, well, can you do some more art? You're writing so much for this other." for your campaign. And so I started doing that. And as a historian, I had a historical twist. And then what you don't have there that you probably haven't seen is Little Wars magazine, volumes 1 through 6, before it died again. During the time we were doing Dragon, they also started a magazine for non-RPG role-playing that lasted 6 volumes. And I did some major long, I did a 10,000-word article in one of them about the cavalry planet Austerlitz. And so I was working on that with them too, but always just coming into the office, submitting, designing, sitting down for sessions, and being a friend, because it wasn't that formal in those days. It was just, there weren't that many of us. And we sort of got to know each other, and we all contributed.
I'm going on eBay right now because I know Dan will try to buy all those Little Wars magazines. I better buy them if they're available somewhere. So, because that's as soon as he hears something that's obscure that you've never heard of, he's ready to take.
I'm all over it.
Exactly.
That's why I have Beastmaker Mountain, and I've got the sequel. And I think what you're talking about, perhaps, Bill, was maybe Cavern Quest.
Yes, Cavern.
Yeah. So James, because Bill, what we do is we've been going through something very similar to Caravan Quest from another magazine, an obscure magazine called First Encounter, where you play a role and you pick what you're supposed to do. You have different choices, and I was very interested to see Caravan Quest because it's essentially the same thing. It looks like it came out earlier. So James, we need to do Caravan Quest. It's just like what we've been doing with First Encounter magazine.
Okay. And then after Cavern Quest, they started into books, and they had me do 4 chosen books for them.
Like the Fighting Fantasy, kind of like the
Quest books, yeah.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
An Apple, not even an Apple II, and turned it in on big 5 1/4 discs, 1 chapter per disc. It was primitive.
And so I love an article that you wrote. And I think I now know where the name comes from because you've been talking about Joe Orlowski, which was Orlo's inventions can liven up your life.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my all-time favorites. So, James, do you have percentile dice handy?
Yes.
Please roll some percentile dice.
You realize I can't remember anything about an article from back then, so you're going to put me on the spot.
This is what we do. Yeah, we never warned you. This is what we do. No, it's okay.
12.
Okay. For James, I'm first going to allow you to guess what this device does, this magic item does. If you don't get it right, we'll see if Bill can remember. What did you say, a 12?
12, yeah.
Okay, the Obedient Hourglass. So, James, can you guess what the Obedient Hourglass does?
The Obedient Hourglass. It will wake you up. It's like an alarm. I have no idea.
No, that is incorrect.
Probably.
Bill, do you have any?
When you played the early game, you rolled for initiative and got to go on it. And the Obedient Hourglass slowed down the opposition so that you could get more attacks in before the other side. You had to flip it, and it only lasted a certain amount of time. And then at that point, it gave you basically a bonus initiative. I can't remember exactly what the mechanics were, but it was designed to help the player get their attacks in.
That sounds kind of powerful for one of Orlo's things, don't you think? No.
Well, I think it only lasted like 3 seconds or something. Here
is the answer. So in parentheses, you say, "Yes, dear, I'll be through in an hour," which of course would have been. So he designed it because of his wife, right? Fantasy. The vocal at this point, who we know is going to cause all sorts of problems for him, was developed by Orlo to flow at any rate he desired. It will complete its cycle in as little as 10 seconds or take up to 10 days to drain. If unordered, it will act as a normal hourglass. So it sounds like if you want to be like, I'll be done in an hour, right? You can set it for a lot, right? So it'll go much slower.
I'll come to dinner in 10 minutes, dear. Yes, that was common. That was a common complaint for all of us that were married. That we'd be done in a minute.
Oh my gosh! Should we? Should I? I shouldn't ask if Fantasy was based upon a real person, should I? Probably not.
She was not. She was not based on my ex-wife.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go that far. The answer is yes and no. You won't know who it is.
All right.
Joe
We're
wasn't married, so I can say that.
our show is half 60 Minutes, half Jerry
Yeah,
Springer.
exactly.
You just need to know that, okay? But so Orlo's Adventure, I love it because you say that, you
I'm
write
looking for
about
a lie detector. Anyhow,
it's a bunch of really fun magical items, and you say they're designed to make your players be creative in using them. I mean, things like you've got the rag that soaks up the water enormous amounts and then deposits in the ocean. I think you've got the peanut that you can always the eternal peanut.
yes.
Yes. You remember? Okay. You remember, what was
Gamerade. They weren't game aids, they were Gamerades. That's
yes.
right.
This peanut can be opened repeatedly and will provide up to 3 ounces of peanuts in an hour. This will be enough to supply rations for one man for half a day to travel or one evening of munchies for 2. So maybe can you, and maybe I care more about this than most people, but I love this stuff. What made you think of doing it? What was the incentive to come up with all these?
Well, basically, you've got to remember the dynamics of doing a game back then was you sat in a room for hours and hours and hours. And this was pretty much a fantasy version of all the things we wish we'd had when we were gaming. Now, how did that particular article get written? I can tell you that the initial concept for the article that they decided I should write had something to do with the sports bar in Lake Geneva. That was across the street from Dungeon Hobby Shop at that point. I think it was Cooley's or something like that. I can't remember the name for sure now. And it was a lot of sitting and talking and just whatever sessions generated some major and minor things all over TSR on various occasions. Top Secret came out of hey, this would be a good idea discussion at one point. And so did some of the other products. Okay,
and so maybe now you can tell us a little bit about how you were approached by Darlin Bromley with Mayfair Games and how that all came about.
Well, I was writing all the Dragon articles, and he had noticed them, and I was working at that time for a different insurance company and had moved to Chicago to work for them in their headquarters. Another good company, Bankers Life, who treated me very well. And in fact, I was the assistant to the executive vice president, and Bankers Life was in the process of turning into the the foundation, the John D. MacArthur Foundation. Oh, wow. And as a result, they were liquidating the company, so I knew I didn't have a lot of job security anyhow, but I was making a bundle of money. I mean, a bundle. I bought a house on 2 years' pay.
Awesome.
And I looked around and I was working for an insurance company, and it's a colorful group, but not, the color's all gray. And Darwin approached me at a small gaming thing in Chicago and said, have you ever thought of going into gaming full time? We need a person to supervise, to design and work the role. We know nothing about RPGs or anything, and you do board games too and stuff, because I ended up doing a lot of their board games and our board games at the time. And as a result, I said, yeah, but I can't, I don't know what I can do. Well, a month later, my first wife served me with papers. And it was a friendly parting, but we had decided it just wasn't working. And suddenly I found myself with a lot less financial responsibilities than I'd had. And Darwin said, well, what do you think? And I said, yeah, I'll take a 70% pay cut. And so I can work in my hobby. Why the heck not at this point? And or some phrasing similar to that.
I'm gonna try. Hey, Bill, I'm gonna record this and tell my wife that same thing. I'll see how that works.
Oh, good luck.
Bring her in now. Is she there?
Yeah, but she's a nurse and can kill me 15 ways to Sunday. So I'm gonna wait for the proper time. When
Well, remember, I married a hardcore gamer, so her only threat ever to me in our entire marriage involved marriage behavior, and she said, "Just don't worry, just keep one thing in mind. What's that? You got to sleep
Exactly.
sometime."
Yeah, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no. So all of a sudden, I went from a highly structured day-by-day schedule to driving in and doing game stuff all day.
Yeah.
And I was getting paid, not much, but I was getting paid, and it was fun. I really enjoyed it. Now, at the time, Mayfair's headquarters were not in a convenient location. We were 20 blocks south of the Loop and literally physically located under an L train in a 100-year-old warehouse that had more dust than brick. And in fact, we had a warehouse cat that we thought was gray until we moved to the new offices 3 years later and discovered it was white. Able to get clean in that place.
It reminds me of the apartment in the Blues Brothers, right? Where they're
absolutely. I mean, literally, my car parked under an L train directly above, and it was bad. It really was.
You're like, oh man, this is so TSR, like 1974.
Well, there was no air conditioning in the summer, and so we had to take plastic sheets and spread them from the ceiling to the floor and isolate an area and put in the few window units so that we could get the temperature under 110 in the rooms we were trying to work on so our computers wouldn't fail. It was pretty amazing. There was Darwin and Peter and then a guy named Jimmy Griffin. And what finally convinced me to come on board wasn't RPGs. It was war in the Falklands. The war started down there, and they needed a designer who could design the game and help them get it out quick. And so that gave me an incentive to move. So I did. We went in there, we started working, and 33 days later, we had the game out, although with some pretty mad misadventures, like getting the pieces made and stuff was nearly impossible. And so I literally went from, this is cool, to 16 to 18 hours a day and sometimes sleeping at the office for the next month. But we got it out, and it did well, and we sold 2 skids to Argentina. And
wow.
But physically, it was very different. You got to remember how primitive things were in those days. Counters were printed and then glued to a piece of cardboard and then cut with a die. And so if they wouldn't dry, you couldn't get them out. And over a hot summer during the war, they couldn't get them to dry. And we were waiting the whole game on the counters. You couldn't put it out without it for several days, and we were losing time. We were afraid the Brits were going to get there. It'd be all over. Instead of having a coup, we'd have an embarrassment. And finally, Darwin, I think, figured it out, or our printer did, and we took them to an Earl Scheib auto center and put them in the center of all of those things that dry cars when you get them painted.
Oh, okay.
And after a night of that and several $100s of gas, they were dry and we got the game out. Which got me a lot of trouble with the Brits eventually. I mean, remember the London Sun putting a headline of "This game insults our dead." There's a good Irish boy making the Brits mad sort of appealed to me.
which reminds me, do you know which article you wrote in Dragon Magazine which seemed to cause the most reaction?
Angels.
Exactly. So
no question. I got more comments on Angels and more ministers ranting and using my name for a while. And the guy sent a special flyer. Yeah, you understand. You know about the guy down south of Urbana that exploited us for years. He sent out flyers and asked for donations to fight this evil thing, and then did absolutely nothing but collect the money. He never caused us a bit of problem.
That's what we do here.
Never did. Just his exploitation of it. And we didn't poke him because we didn't want to put that as long as people thought someone was doing something, maybe no one else would. So we just left him alone. But he must have made tens of thousands getting people to contribute to stop our evil satanic plot. And anyhow, but yes, Angels caused me a lot of trouble for people that the gamers loved it. But some parents and occasional principals got a little bent out of shape, and I did hear about it.
Yeah, because some of the letters were published. I knew it because I went through the Dragon magazines, and somebody wrote to complain that the Bible should be separate from gaming's bad taste, and then of course letters come after that in support of the article. So, but hey,
Well, it danced around the whole. I mean, you look to a point. There's definitely Christian themes in here, and you just kind of took the last leap of it with the article. It wasn't like, we have demons and devils and deities, and they didn't put the Christian, Muslim, the Abrahamic biblical deities, but they have a lot of the trappings of it. They talk about exorcisms and these type of things. It's very Catholic.
Works for Christians. I mean, they were always designed on a warrior priest.
And this
there was no question. And I simply took my Catholic grade school education and made use of it.
And everyone was worried about statting, God or Jesus. That's because that was the next leap. You take deities and demigods,
Harry would never allow that.
Right, but it's you could see people doing that just from, because once you gave Odin hit points, and even though it made it very clear that was an avatar of it, you could see. I'm sure someone has done it, and your article was taken in that way, which really wasn't the purpose of it. But back in then it was the more creepy the better. When I was young when that was around, and that was the allure of it. So, but I could only imagine as an adult what a nightmare that must have been.
I was young still, in mind at least. It was new. It was exciting. We were pushing back on the envelope. Yes, I wrote that to push the envelope.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no question.
Well,
it pushed the envelope and a lot of buttons, but I think the lasting effect was actually beneficial, because after that, no one complained about any of our other articles.
Right.
It was very clever. Well played. When you get to Mayfair at a certain point in time, right, probably a couple years in, you apparently convince Darwin that Mayfair should get into the role-playing game business, right? And that's how Roll-Aids is created, correct?
Yes. But we were there about a year and a half. We'd always talked about it from the beginning. He brought me in for, but we had to get the board game stuff done right first, and getting various things out. And we'd had some good successes, like Empire Builder at that point, which was created in a car driving back from a convention in Michigan, almost entirely, except for Peter's math. Yeah, we had been playing another game, and we didn't like the way it ended in another railroad game. And it was one of those, Darwin and I driving back to Chicago for 6 hours, plus a girl I was dating and laying on the back seat, adding comments, mostly sarcastic. And here's what I would do. Yeah, and what we ought to do is this. And here's what I would do. And that, yeah, and by the time we got to Chicago, we write it up, and the whole Empire line was started, made possible by the fact that his brother Peter was a PhD, or almost a PhD, I forget if he did his dissertation or not, in mathematics from the University of Chicago. Wow. And the math on the distances and the deliveries and everything is brilliant. And it made the game feasible. And so finally we got to Roll-Aids. And of course, the first ones we did were our friends or myself. And so we had basically started with things like Peacemaker Mountain.
Yep.
And then the first ones we came out were very primitive. The first ones were done in folders. And the only printing on the folder, yep, there you go.
I got it.
And the only printing was just inside the pages of the folder. And they were the Roll-Aids. Now, Peacemaker Mountain was one I did. It was basically my version of Tegel Manor with more directed plot.
Oh yeah, it's way better than Teagle Manor in that
But it
regard.
was inspired by Tegel Manor. And we went from that to Blasted Lands by someone we knew. And then the first of the Fez series, which ended up, Fez was the name of a mage, by the way, not a hat. And then an Orient Stone, which was sort of a dead end. And those all came out in about a 6 or 8 week period, because we had to gang print them to afford it. Now, you got to remember, doing one of those in those days was a major undertaking, because doing one of these meant that it wasn't that you could take, say, Fez and just type it up and put it in a page maker. You had to run it off in little strips, use hot wax to line it up straight on paper, create the whole page, put it in a giant photo machine, take a picture of the page with this is pre-computers, remember? And take a picture of the page, and it was all, and then have the picture copied onto a lead thing, and they printed pages. And it would take 3 people all day to do 1 or 2 pages of a module, just to lay it out after it was written. And so we did those. And then, of course, we got into it from that, and the public wanted better looking as the hobby shops grew and we needed more things. So we had to move into some sort of cover. So we started with some pretty primitive covers, and also with a bunch of good interiors, which were kind of new. They're the ones in the TSRs. We were trying to show them up on that. They simply escalated theirs. We were, of course, competing with a company that had created the product and had more money and had more talent, was literally available too. And then, so that finally led to where we had to start creating color on it. And I blame Jeff Easley completely, because he did those brilliant covers and he upgraded everybody's requirements when TSR started putting color covers on. Cost us a fortune to compete at that point. So we began doing, yep, there you are, the first color covers, which were Tower of Magics, and I don't know if you've got it up there yet.
I'm showing it. I'm showing it right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Tower of Magics and Mission of Gravity, or whatever that was, something Gravity. That was our first attempts. Well, what you may notice by our first covers were they weren't original art. I had a lot of friends who were writers, and I knew the artists from their book covers. So the first dozen or so Rolaids covers are really portions of or covers from books, such as the one from Tower of Magics was really a Carolyn Cherry novel cover, or Morgaine cover.
Yeah, I see it says Janie Wirtz, also the author of Sorcerer's Legacy, published by Ace Science Fiction.
Yeah, and then we moved into doing Janie Wirtz covers. We needed to upgrade the quality of the art, and Janie needed money. We'd met her at a convention, so she started doing. She had about 30 pictures that she had prints of, so we literally bought every piece of art she had, and those were our covers for the next year and a half on all of our products. And then once we finished that, we went to some David Cherry, and then we cut the big deal, Boris. And we had gotten by then, we were being distributed by Berkeley Games, so I had gotten to know some people in the publishing business, and I got to meet Boris Viejo's agent. And so we cut a deal to have Boris do covers for us, or actually to use his existing art. He wasn't doing original. He probably got more for his art than our company was worth at that point. And so we began putting Boris's covers on various pieces of art, and that upgraded the quality again, although it was a limited number, but it cost us big time because we had to do 2 other products that the agent insisted we do if we were going to buy his art. First, we did the Boris Viejo art game. Now, the Boris Viejo art game looked beautiful, and it played as well as we could with what we had, but very honestly, it wasn't a great game, and it was awkward to play, and it didn't sell very well. But it did do better than the other product, which she forced us to create, which was the Barbara Cartland board game. Romance writer Barbara Cartland. I designed the Barbara Cartland board game to simulate playing in a Barbara Cartland novel. And that had two bad side effects. First of all, we found out that nobody who reads those novels plays games. I think we sold about 100 of them and had a warehouse that scrapped about 1,000 more. And the second one was, in order to write it, I had to write on the Chicago L reading Barbara Cartland books. And Barbara Cartland books are very distinctive with bright pink covers. And the most interesting people would make an effort to sit next to me as I sat reading Barbara Cartland books, 30-something young man, not a lot of whom I wanted to meet, and some turned out to be really nice people, and I actually got to know for a while. But it did give some interesting impressions at that point. And then finally, about the same time as we started generating, started doing art, we found better second rights, such as this Fantastic Treasures cover. And we also began to sell enough copies because Beastmaker Mountain sold about 1,200 copies when it went out. By the time we were doing things like Fantastic Treasures, we were doing print runs over 10,000. Mm-hmm. And often reprinting. And eventually, after about 100 modules, we started doing all of these products that were basic packs, that were products that like the hardcover books that were coming out. And because we did them in trade and we priced them lower, we actually did about 20 of these background packs. And I always liked doors, of course, something about being short and heavy. And they were rather popular, actually. And we did very well with them for a while, which, of course, leads to the other adventure of discussion, which was, I'm sure you're going to bring it up, that.
Well, I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up or not, but since you have, yes.
I'm willing to discuss it.
So
there's a settlement agreement.
Just hold on a second.
Yeah,
I'm trying to catch up. I'm showing these pictures one at a time here. So, and it's interesting. Oh, that's okay. Just so, for instance,
all right. So eventually the line evolved, and we did over 100 roll aids. I think. I know we did at least 80. And it came out for years. And as things began to fade, we began doing them less often. And we were only putting about four a year out when TSR approached us and said, we just want to buy your whole roll lanes out. Now, a little background on that is there had been at one point open warfare, TSR against the world. TSR trying to trademark everything. And Gamma was effectively formed to counterbalance TSR by all the other companies getting together. It later quickly evolved into a professional organization for the industry. And so and then after Lorraine Bardesvasian took over, she started very aggressive. And then one day she sat down and realized she had spent $2 million on lawyers for $180,000 in settlements. And said, maybe I'm doing this wrong. And under her leadership, they turned around, joined Gamma, became friendly, put the D20 system out for everybody, and said, let's just work with people and let's just be it's not a zero-sum game. Let's all work together. And about the time of that change, she said, look, instead of fighting you, I'll buy you out. And she offered us some money, and we sold her the Rolaids line and the rights to all the products. And we said, what do you want us to do with the warehouse full of products? And she said, pulp them. So after I took all I wanted, we pulped them. And our sale was really a sign of the change in the industry to TSR from being an isolated pusher to a cooperative part of all the industry, and it's stayed that way ever since.
And Bill, when was the sale? Roughly.
Early, late 80s.
Okay. Yeah, because there's in 1984, apparently, I guess there's a settlement agreement, right, between you guys and TSR.
That's totally different. Have we put the bug up?
Which bug? The
Suitable for use with.
Oh yeah, I put that up already. Yep.
Okay, if you want to put it up for a second. What happened there was my partner Darwin was a lawyer from Kirkland and Ellis. He was an escaped lawyer. And we were all escaped. I escaped the insurance industry. He escaped law. And poor Darwin. Darwin went to Kirkland and Ellis and spent 2 years working on the Amoco Cadiz spill, doing research. That's all he did for 2 years, was generate paperwork on that. That'll sour you on the law quickly. and Peter was an escaped grad student. And Jimmy was an escaped Chicago teacher. And so we all got into this. And Darwin said, we were sitting one day, we're the first company besides Judges Guild who puts out something very different to do something really for D&D. Let's see what we can do. I think I can support this. And so we started doing it. And of course, they did sue us, and it went to court. And it was Darwin, we hired an attorney. Darwin had deep pockets. And we hired an attorney, and Darwin was there too. And then Brian's brother Kevin ran the legal team for the other side. He was their CFO at TSR. And we always thought we were going to get our head handed us. But when the dust settled, the judge actually ruled not that we were legal, but that certain things we had put in products were not, and we had to withdraw those products. But his compromise was, but the use of the bullet was legal so long as we stated clearly that they did not approve of it, which is what we did on all the product. They were angry. Right after that happened, if you read Kim Mohan's editorial column in Dragon Magazine, he did a long column, and by the way, we're still friends, and stayed friends. He did a long column about taking advantage of others and everything. And the first letter of every paragraph spells out the word Mayfair. He never named this, but the first letter of every paragraph spells it out. Go back, find that issue, and you'll find that.
Oh, wow.
Something you may have noticed. And I thought that was really cool. I called him up and complimented on it. He thought it was cool, too. But they told him, take these people to the cleaners, but don't mention them by name because they've got good lawyers.
Well, and I think, so the products that I think most people remember well, Beastmaker Mountain has stood the test of time. So it got very favorable reviews at the time. It's still considered very good, highly sought after.
Thank you.
Yes, it's wonderful. As you know, I've got a copy because when I got back into gaming after about a 30-year hiatus, I decided to investigate modules that I probably didn't hear of at the time because, James and I have talked a lot about this. For us, TSR was the thing. If it wasn't TSR, it was an off-brand, and that's just the way we were at the time. A lot of us, and
a lot of people were. They were selling 100,000 when we were selling 10.
And I owned Lich Lords back.
And
Thank you.
And that was the other one I was going to bring up, the Undead, which I think started the Lich Lords, and then you have the Lich Lords after that, right? That apparently still today is considered to stand the test of time. So if I bought it, it's because somebody on the internet said it was really good and I should buy it. And so,
well, I love the cover, and I was looking for a high level adventure, but as we've talked about, it was still hard, even though it was by far, from my recall, it was close enough to TSR, and I hate to use that term because we were just so. I don't know if it was the mindset. We've had this conversation with people before. At least we came right at the 1980, and I think that DIY, do-it-yourself mindset really wasn't there. So if it wasn't canon, and I hate to use this, we didn't appreciate it. You know, when I read Dragon magazine, if it was a third-party thing, I went, meh. It's only now that I really appreciate it. I think
Hey.
well, but it's just for a 12-year-old, it just felt like it was, at least for us, for me it was. So when I bought Lich Lords, I was really like, well, this looks really cool, but it's not from, and I did enjoy it. But it really, that was the first non-TSR thing I ever bought. So because it had high-level adventure, and it kind of started me changing that mindset. Because the hobby stores we had, they were in toy stores. We didn't really have, I was not aware of, like, I'm sure there were train hobby stores. So whatever that one rack had of fantasy, besides the Barbies, that's what we had. And it was predominantly TSR. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's because we were all distributed by book companies. They had Random House and we had Berkeley. And Random House had reach through their other connections into almost every store in the country at one time or another. So it worked out well. Peacemaker Mountain, Orlo the Magician is physically and personality Joe Orlowski, our partner in the hobby shop and the guy I work for at the Dragon magazine. It was a tribute to Joe. He was never married, and Fantasy was a combination of other characters we knew. She was not one person. So you stop worrying.
I'm still not so sure, but that's all right. Go on. I'll take
that's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, I'm going to do so until the life laws change in this country. And of course, when we went on to the Blasted Lands and other sequels to it, Orlo stuck around, and that was Joe. And Joe went from working at the magazine to running Dungeon Hobby Shop for a while, working with Gary's son Ernie. And then they decided Dungeon wasn't doing well enough. Getting to Lake Geneva to shop was not easy. And so they had literally thousands of miniatures they didn't know what they were going to do with, and TSR was making boatloads of money. They just didn't want to bother with the shop. So they gave Joe a really good price, and he called me up and said, "Hey, Bill, want to start a hobby shop? This is 1980. And I went, great. So we went out and found a location. It turned out to be a little weirder than we thought, but we found a location and opened Games Plus with surplus product from the dungeon and a bunch of old stuff from West End Games, a distributor at the time out of West Chicago. And West Chicago Games, rather, not West End, which was the Star Wars people. We did put them in, but... So we found this place, and we rented it from a little old lady who never went downstairs. And the little old lady never knew what was there. And we got in, and we were getting it set up, and the phone company comes in and I says, "We're going to put your phone line in. How many lines do you want?" And we said, "How many can we have? What are you asking?" He says, "Well, they're set up here for 28. And it hit me at that point. It had been a locksmith shop. It had a basement with steel doors on both sides and bars. It was It's a bookie
place. Yep.
We had our office, and we had opened our shop in what had been a crooked locksmith for the mob and a bookie joint. And for the first several months, big guys that weren't well dressed would walk in holding boxes, look around confused for a minute, and leave with a panicky expression. It was the strangest feeling. Awesome. And so we gamed where they had been running a bookie joint for about 3 years in that basement. And Joe and I got it going, and it was a struggle. And our first day, we made $100. In our first year, we made maybe $100,000 and barely made rent. I didn't take a salary. He barely could. And a couple of years later, we sold out to the guys who have it now, and they're a tremendous success. They do a very great volume, and they've moved. But Orlo was the inspiration. In fact, most of the people and most of them that people wrote, including Fez, were people I could identify for you. Because they were all, Fez was by a group of people who lived in Chicago in the Mayfair district that were the rest of the game club with Darwin that Mayfair was named for.
Did any of the people who showed up looking for the bookie joint, did you ever convince them? Were they curious about gaming? Did you ever convert any of them to gaming?
Absolutely not. They would not get more than 2 steps in the door and have a shocked expression. And we're talking generally unshaven, not terribly clean. Often, at least one of them was actually holding a small safe in his arms as he walked in.
Well, up until the safe, you were just describing what most people at your typical convention,
That's right.
gaming convention.
No, completely different look. Completely different look.
A little more gold chains, it sounds like. It's
little more. Yeah, I don't want to get ethnic, but
hey, I'm ethnic, so it's okay.
They came in from Melrose Park, not Highland Park. So they were definitely looking for the locksmith who would open things for a fee without asking where you got it.
You could have been like a thief's
That's
guild.
right.
I might have interested them if I thought any could read.
Hey, so
I've always complained.
guys, we got a couple of questions online. So
please.
David wants to know: did you work on the DC game while you were there? Oh, I don't know.
Are we? Can you see that?
No, we can't because your screen got frozen, unfortunately. But I hear you, so I didn't want to mess with it. But if you, the answer is yes, then.
Yes, I did. I'm holding up the D3 game. Let me.
Yes, if you can send me a shot, yeah, because.
I'm holding.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, your audio is great, but your video is frozen. I didn't want to start it over since we were doing fine. So.
Go ahead and start it over real quick, and if you want to, and I'll put these up. I've got board games.
All right, hold
here.
on. Let's see. Oh, that's what I didn't want to do. That's what I was afraid of. Try it again.
Okay, I thought it was going to go poorly there for a second.
Well, I'm trying to get Bill set up again here.
Let me know when I'm frozen. But yeah, I like Tom Bombadil. He
you can't talk about
That's
Tom
the right
Bombadil.
answer. That's the right answer.
If I could carry a tune, I would admire him more, but because I could identify with him. But I can't even turn a record player on without scratching it. So I have no musical talent. But no, Tom Bombadil is one light of joy in a book full of darkness.
Thank you.
Hold on. I got to drop Bill and put him back on because I'm not getting his video. I'm going to call you right back, Bill.
All right.
Let's see if we get him back on.
And I'll show the familiar.
How are you doing?
You're coming on. He's sleeping on the deities and demigods. That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
Oh, that's lovely.
That's my familiar.
Yeah,
I have 3 cats.
He was causing havoc earlier. He knocked Beastmaker Mountain, which I spent a fair amount of money onto the floor.
Have I come on?
Well, your audio's on, but for some reason your video's not showing up. Maybe you can turn your video on and off. I'm not sure what's...
My camera isn't on for some reason.
All right, yeah, because...
Why would you shut my camera off in the middle?
I don't know. Yeah, just stopped all of a sudden.
Let me make sure it's plugged in.
Okay.
It's a rough session for us, James. I think we've angered... We haven't prayed to our deities enough.
We have not prayed to Jubilex recently.
We have not prayed to Jubilex.
That's very strange. Let me go to settings.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Bill. Yeah, because you sound great. It's just, and David was complimentary of DC, saying it's introduced mechanics that were used in games today. Yeah, we have angered the tech gods.
I don't know why my camera suddenly went off.
Yeah, it's you're
Very strange.
it's popping on and off, but we don't see you, but you sound fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep asking questions while I'm looking at this.
Sure. They also want. Do you still play Napoleonics at this point? Are you playing at all?
When I can, not very often. I don't have my figures anymore. I was part of Ray Johnson was a guy in Lake Zurich, Illinois, who had 17,000 25 millimeters.
Wow.
We had great games, 3-day games, divorce-making games.
Yeah, I bet.
So those were great.
You need like 3 of the time pieces of obedience there. One would not do it. So, wow, that's awesome. And the last question that I saw was, David, our dear friend from Australia, is listening from South Australia. He, I guess you wrote a UFO book. Is that true?
Making Contact.
Making Contact. That's correct. Yeah. So what was?
Yes. He said embarrassed. The premise of the book is basically to train you for what you would do if a UFO landed in your backyard, complete with stories of what other people did and what worked out and what didn't. It was a lot of fun, but of course, I don't think UFOs are aliens anyhow, so it's a completely different story.
Ah, there you go.
UFOs are, well, let's take Occam's razor.
Yep.
Take Occam's razor. You've got a situation where it is a planet that may or may not be reachable from beyond, but we have an intelligent race on it that is interested in time travel. And we have all of the future. And already we're finding anomalies in time and stuff. So my theory is that it's not aliens, it's time travelers, which is why they don't want us to contact them too much, because they don't want to change the timeline and put themselves out of existence or try paradoxes. Now, if it's from the future, it's probably academics studying culture, just like our sociologists or anthropologists do. Well, the anthropologists generally, with a few exceptions, don't sit and take all the notes and do everything. Who would they send back in their saucer-shaped time machines? Grad students.
Yeah.
Which explains why they crash. They occasionally get seen. We got beard-up grad students watching us from the future. And that's what the UFOs are. And why don't things make sense? Because the animals that are being mixed up and dissected, or people being taken, those are doctoral thesis studies, most of which don't make sense. And that's why we can't figure it out.
And that
now we don't have to buy the book.
You should have talked it up, Bill. I'm sorry. You probably could have got some people there, but that's
it's out of print. I don't care.
He's not making any money
That's
anymore. Right. Bill, can you talk a little bit about the CWA Con?
About what?
The convention, right? Was it the CWA Con, the Chicago Wargamer Association convention?
I was never involved with that except attending. It was a great convention, but I was not involved. I'm involved at DragonCon.
Oh, okay. Because I knew you had written stories on it in reviews of it, if I recall correctly.
Yes, I wrote reviews, but I only did it as an attendee and to encourage people to go. It's a great con. They didn't do it this year. There's still Miniatures Con in Chicago.
Okay.
In town. I'm down in Atlanta now, which is another good gaming town. But it's been around. It was to fill the need for miniatures originally. And Duke Siegfried from Heritage had a lot to do with it, helping us get started with it. And a lot of guys I knew started it, and it really was inspired by the gamers, for the gamers, never meant to really be much of a con, just to get together for everybody to play these games. And then we got organized. And that, by we, I mean them. And we went from there.
Well, I know that our dear friend Lane, he goes to Dragon Con pretty much every year. That's on Labor Day weekend, right, typically? Or
yes, it's September 2 to 7 this year, if it happens, which we're hoping it will.
Well, we're hoping so, too, because our little convention, GROGTALK, which is, here at Crucible is October 9th through 11th. Shameless plug for us. So there you go. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so,
Where is it
well,
located?
it'll be at the Wyndham Hotel in Kissimmee, which is just south of Orlando. So Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
So if you want to come down, let us know. We can work something out. That would be awesome.
I might be happy. I'm in Atlanta. I can drive.
You don't have to deal with people. So
I'm not that far.
yeah, it's about 6.5 hours. We went to the Peach Bowl a couple of years ago. You know, as long as you avoid 75 as much as you can, you know, it's not too bad. So
yeah. No. I work with Dragon Con. I never remember when I volunteered. I don't remember volunteering. I got asked to do a couple things, and 10 years later, I'm working with the guy running it, and I'm still involved. We're on 34, I think. I've been gone since 1, just like Gen Cons. I've made the first 25. I was the auctioneer for a couple of years. My proudest moments when I did sole auctioneer 1 year, and I did 3,600 items.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
No
I
voice.
bet you were shot. Now you
So we need to bring him down as an auctioneer.
It's been a while. I think that was the second year at Parkside.
It's like riding a bike.
So that was fun. I'm just bummed about the camera.
Yes, sorry about that. Welcome to the tech thing. So
yeah, it's been happening to us all morning. I think it's my familiar, the black cat.
So it sounds like you moved down to Atlanta in the late '80s. Then is that?
I moved to Atlanta last December. I've been in Chicago.
Oh, okay. So you've just
down the road from Lake Geneva on 12 for 35 years, 40 years.
Oh, okay. So you just came down here, but you were going to Dragon Con. You flew down from Chicago every year to.
Yeah, I drive or fly down every year since the first, and Jody is well attended. And are you guys familiar with Jody's involvement with TSR? I'm married to Jody Lynn, the science fiction writer.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I didn't know of a TSR connection.
Oh, well, first of all, when Jody was 19, she started dating Brian Bloom, who was president of TSR. And this is after the box set, but before AD&D. And they were still running an incredibly tight budget. And he came to her while she was a student over the summer between her freshman and sophomore years and said, we need someone to transcribe these notes for these books that Gary's written longhand on legal pads, and don't change anything. Well, Jody got them and transcribed them, but also cleaned up the English and filled out sentences and stuff where Gary had, writing on a pad first draft. And when she was done, they were the Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and DMG.
Wow, did not know that.
Wow, the entire.
All three of them. Yeah, she got $1 a page for each one of those. That was her summer job, and she spent the summer transcribing Gary and cleaning up his grammar. And she's the one who physically typed those books into the computer. And she was involved with them ever since. In fact, like I said, I saw her at conventions, but I never said more than hi because she was Brian Bloom's girlfriend. You didn't do that. Yeah. First when you were him, and then when you were a friend from another company. And then I met this girl 10 years later and didn't make the connection. And we dated almost 2 months before we went up to Winter Fantasy, where I was going to show off all my important friends. And she knew what I did, but I didn't know what she'd done. So I get up there, and I'm going up to Gary, and I say, Gary, I want you to meet. And he rushes up and throws his arms around her. Everybody there knew her better than they knew me.
Awesome. What a story.
Was Gary okay with her changes?
What?
Was Gary okay with her changes? Because they said don't change anything. Brian Bloom said don't change anything.
She didn't change any of the content. She just cleaned up phrasing. Put periods and commas in.
Wow, that's very interesting.
That's crazy.
None of the ideas are hers. The ideas are Gary's. She just did the physical editorial process on Gary's ideas.
Unbelievable. That's awesome. I mean, just to see it, to be one of the first to see it typed, and
She was effectively the first to see it besides
Right.
Gary, yes.
Yeah, and now as a gamer, did she, did you ever ask her what her opinion was of it looking back? Because she was gaming already then.
Oh, she was a corporate D&D player
Right,
too.
right. So did she?
So she loved
Okay.
it. I mean, this was great. I mean, come on. She was a gamer dating the president of the company and typing up Gary's stuff.
Right.
What do you think she thought? What would you be like in that situation at 19?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I could figure in and have you, and you could ask her, but you can always do a time with her if you want.
That'd be
someday.
awesome. Yeah, that would be great. I think that
would be, because I want to know what was she typing this and she's like, oh, no, that spell shouldn't work like that.
No, she did the job they gave him, which is don't change it, just put it in, put the commas and finish the sentences and stuff.
I just wonder if she was thinking it, like, oh, not changing it, just thinking, like, oh, no, half-orc cleric, 4th level, come on.
I don't think you understand the mindset at that point. This stuff was tablets coming from above.
Well, that's how we feel it is, but the more you talk about it, yeah,
well,
we certainly feel that way. It was we call them.
Well, so did the rest of us who were closer.
Yeah, we call them the Holy Trinity. So
I was so sorry when we lost him.
It is amazing when we talk to people who knew Gary, how they talk about him, the reverence. They really do hold him in such high esteem. It is very interesting to hear them talk about him. Do you, out of curiosity, what was your views on first edition compared to original D&D? Because it seemed to get, obviously, you'd even made a reference to it was more freewheeling originally. It got much more rule heavy. Was there one version that you preferred over the other?
I would say original box set was what hooked me in the storytelling aspect. I didn't need the numbers as much, but I know where first edition got more specific, and that was because of the hundreds of queries and the ability to spread more widely and be used by more people. To use the box set, you've all got to be good storytellers. You've all got to be able to keep images in your mind. And by first edition, some of the quantitized was increased to make it more universally playable, because the trouble with box edition is the guy over here and the guy over there had different interpretations, and they were very different. And the intent was to create a more universal experience so that when you played at a con, you played somewhere else, you could communicate the game. Box set leaves so much latitude that two DMs will treat the whole game very differently, and it'll feel very different. By first edition, it was more universally spread, and that's what helped. First edition is what really took off for universal, and because it was more quantitized. And what we're doing, quantitized interactive storytelling.
Did you ever have an opportunity to play in one of Gary's games?
A couple of times, tournaments or conventions or whatever. I'd never played in one of his campaigns.
Oh,
Okay.
Which I was always sorry. I played in the campaigns with people who played with him, but never him directly.
And when was you?
Like, he beat me at a lot of games, Rail Baron consistently.
Yeah, he liked railroad games too, if I recall.
Loved railroad games. He and I shared that.
And Al Hammock as well, I believe.
Yes, Al did, and so did Mike, who did Dawn Patrol eventually, and Darwin, who was a total train nut. When we formed Mayfair, there was no question there would be a railroad game eventually. It was going to happen because we all love trains.
And do you remember the last time you saw or spoke with Gary?
We had a dinner. He'd gotten over the shingles. Gary had shingles for about a year and a half, really bad, painful, nasty, horrible. We always felt sorry. He'd gotten over it. He and Gail and I had a dinner in Lake Geneva about 6-8 months before we lost him. And it was just a nice meal. We just chatted, and we chatted mostly we talked about all the people we had in common, where they were at and what they were doing at that point in life. Many had moved on or moved away.
And would it be, you talked about Dave Arneson, so fair to say that it needed both of them for this to happen, that, you know, without both, we wouldn't have D&D as it is today?
Absolutely. Yeah. Dave, major idea contribution, major handling of various things, presenting concepts, and doing grunt work judging.
Okay, let's say you get to play one character. What race? What profession? 1E.
One D&D character?
Yep. So so if you had to play one character for the rest of your days, what would it be?
A really cranky dwarf cleric.
It's a non-player character. Sorry.
Oh, we're not going to get into that. Do you have
what do I normally play? Half-elf mage characters.
We have we have we have an issue perhaps with Unearthed Arcana. So, but that's which expanded on.
You use the word? We're not supposed to use the word. That's the book.
The book. Well, you're not gonna know what we're talking about.
The book that shall not be named. So.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Now, if first of all, I identify with the dwarves, but the elves are more fun to play.
I was looking to see if he was on the list of participants for the Masters tournament, whatever that thing was, in the summer of '79.
His name was listed. You know, they would give addresses for people who are looking for gamers. You know, they do that in the Dragon magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill, you were in there. You know, at the same time you're writing articles, there's your address. I love those days where I guess you just kind of knock on someone's door, right, and be like, yeah.
We sought each other out. If you found someone, it was a benefit. I mean, and if you could find a good group to play with, you loved it. And in fact, when I moved to Chicago and I had to leave the Milwaukee group, I found another group, and they were great. We played in this guy's basement in a campaign that's still running, the Two Towers campaign, forever. The group also had a penalty that was a benefit. 3 of the people worked for White Castle. So they would get off work and bring bags full of the last run that they wanted to get rid of. This was a great benefit. We were in a basement without windows. This caused problems.
You were hardcore.
If you stuck around, you really, really wanted to play.
Oh, geez. So you know, obviously after Mayfair, did you stay in producing things? I know when we talked yesterday, you know, this and you know both David online. You know, you've been a prolific author, so both nonfiction, history, other thing. Have you kept that passion the whole time, or did you gravitate one way or another?
Which passion? Gaming, yes. After I left, I got into computer games. I did an RPG for AOL, which eventually got published by Simon & Schuster when AOL went under. I did 7 or 8 other electronic games of various types, including, do you remember the old Panzer General games?
Oh, yeah.
Remember Star General?
I didn't play that.
The science fiction of Panzer General?
I played Panzer Leader, but yeah.
Okay, I designed it.
Wow.
And my company produced, I had a software company for about 7 years, didn't shut it down until the 90s, when the quality and the amount you had to invest in software went up so dramatically that instead of doing a game for $100,000, you had to spend $2 million to compete, and I got out. I didn't have to have $2 million extra that I wanted to roll dice on, and I doing that. I'm still working on game stuff today. I'm hoping to do an app in the near future involving Munchkin, but it's not yet papered, so I can't go into great detail. But Steve's a good friend and a brilliant designer as well. I value him, and I'm hoping to exploit a little of that for our mutual benefit. And I'm still doing books. both science fiction and actually some mysteries. And of course, I've written all those great mistake books about history. The premise of which is the important thing in history is not the plans, but the mistakes that the great men made that changed the course of history. Because things have not gone the way anyone expected, and the reason is what went wrong. So I have done a number of books on various types of things or various periods when what went wrong and how it affected everything. And I think the most obvious example is How to Lose World War, which I gathered articles from people and wrote in. And if all the things that had not gone wrong, we'd have lost World War II. I mean, you talk about mistakes. The Germans had it and blew it. As far as World War II was going, I think that probably most characterized by a quote from Churchill in 1944. Some SAS guys came in and said, "Hey, we can go assassinate Hitler. We've got a plot that is absolutely going to work." And Churchill looked at them and said, "Have you seen the decisions he's been making? He's the best man we have over there. Don't kill him. Something happened could take over." And so it goes. And the last ones I put out, unadulterated plug, 100 Mistakes That Changed History. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. Executive decision mistakes that made history. And 101 Stumbles in the March of History are 300 examples of major mistakes that changed the course of history. And I've still got room enough for 10 more books, I think, in the mistakes out there. And of course, it's so nice they're generating so many new ones.
Right, I was just going to say, this one's writing itself. Your next book is writing itself, this pandemic. I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. So,
well, I stopped at 1990 when I started these in 1995. I may move it up to 2000, and I've got plenty in that 10 years. I'm going to have to live a lot longer before I'm willing to talk about something that the guys who made the mistakes are all currently still in office and trying to earn their limit. I learned that lesson at Mayfair when we did Family Wars. It was a mob game. Everybody was on a card and up against the wall. It was a Madame Guillotine variant. And we put we're from Chicago, so we made it with gangsters.
Yeah.
We thought all the gangsters we put in it were dead. One of them we found out.
Whoops.
And he was in his 70s and still alive and still living in Cicero near Chicago. And that made us very nervous.
Yeah.
We had employees start our van and cars for a while.
Wow.
And you look at that game to this day.
Those are the bad employees. How do you pick
the ones that could spare?
That's the henchmen.
Not the designers, the warehouse guys. Pull my car around, please. Yeah. And if you look at that game, there's no designer credits. There's no names.
Witness protection.
You just weren't going to name anyone. So I don't write things about current people and current events in these books because it's a form of not becoming a target.
Yeah.
And I've already been there because I used to work with Newt Gingrich a little on his books, and it made the Clintons mad at me. And I don't want to go through that again.
Last question from online that we have is, what inspirations did were you a voracious reader? Obviously, you're a prolific writer. Were you a voracious reader when you were young? And what inspirations did you have from reading? What were your...
Absolutely, from the beginning. By the time I was 8 years old, I was reading Tom Swift books in the front yard. I found fantasy about 12 and read everything I could get my hands on. I remember the ladies in the store saying, that's a grown-up science fiction book. Are you sure you want to spend 35 cents on it? And yes. That was big money then. And I would say if I had influences, they change every decade. As far as science fiction, I'd have to put Dave Drake way up there. His post-Vietnam stuff, his Slammers and everything. For characterization, Anne McCaffrey, who became they're both become close friends, and I valued her and value David. And as far as actual fantasy, I found Tolkien in college. It cost me a B instead of an A on my anthropology exam because it was in the anthropology. So I was looking at some anthropology references, and another student there said, "Have you tried this?" That was Friday. The exam was Monday. I had finished all 3 books by Monday, but hadn't slept, and got C plus on a course I had aced, and I consider it worthwhile. And I went from there to pretty much suck up what I could, the Conans and all of those, and what was available in the late '60s, which wasn't that much. And then as we got into the '80s, and I got working with the publishers, I was the liaison to Berkeley for Mayfair, which is how I ended up packaging several hundred science fiction books full time later. And as I got there, that meant I had to go into Berkeley about once a month, which meant that I could hit their free bookshelf for their leftover sample books every month. So I read everything I could get my hands on in the fantasy, and I would say probably Roger Zelazny had a very large effect on me, especially Lord of Light and Shadowjack and some of those for character, and his character development was so brilliant. And that really, and in fact, I was thrilled when I could do the Castle Amber guide later with him. And going from there, you're talking, suddenly I'm among gamers. I remember I was angry at a writer named Ray Feist, who I'd never met. And then we got on a panel together, and I was going to really eviscerate him over this thing I was angry about until I looked over and I went, "Oh my God, that's Rafen Megkimi. I've known him for years. He's a nice guy." Totally dissolved my anger. They're blew it. And I, of course, now we've got Mike Stackpole, who had a large part in Tunnels and Trolls when he was a teenager still, and things like that. Loved Tunnels and Trolls. Introduced it to a bunch of actuaries in Wausau, Wisconsin, and they sucked it up. Brilliant men, learned how to laugh. And I think a lot of the writing, and so then I got into a lot of the books that came from our generation of the gamers writing.
Awesome. So that's it from the chat line. Dan, what you got?
No, nothing more. So this has been very very informative. It's great to hear all these stories from back in the day. It sounds like there's a lot more that we didn't get to, but thank you for sharing your experiences late 70s, early 80s, which of course is primarily what we focus on here. So as I mentioned, big fan of your work with Beastmaker Mountain and Orlo's invention. So it's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much, and I've enjoyed being on. And it's good looking back. I got to admit, I hardly could sleep last night remembering all the things I wanted to tell you, and then the ones that I shouldn't.
Well, we have time for the things that you shouldn't.
Right, we always have time for that. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Things that have names other than mine in them are probably not a good idea at this point in our history. Too many of them are old friends at this point. I think. I assume people have talked about the community feeling those first years when we were just a small, almost when I look back, I realize we were almost evangelical.
Right.
We had this wonderful thing we wanted to share and wanted to be part of. And it changed the world.
It sure did.
And that's just kind of crazy. I mean, when I started in the 60s and 70s, I was a nerd, and my younger sister, of course, younger sisters are always so merciful, used to complain I never brought back anyone good. All my friends were nerds too, and they were gamers and stuff. And so she, you're a waste. Bring home the jocks. And then it's gradually I've watched it because in the 55 years, 60 years I've been watching this. I've gradually watched as what we do becomes more and more part of society. And if you look at the best-selling movies, at the top books today, even books that don't have science fiction angles have a mysterious angle. Romantic fantasy is the top-selling form of fantasy. Yeah. Elves sell to romance writers. Romantic fantasy. Romance writers. We have changed a direction of the way culture thinks about the world.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing to think that I watched it happen and had a little tiny corner of doing the nudge.
Oh,
It was it's kind of humbling in some ways. And it makes you wonder how we got here and who did this last century.
well, and I think it's I mean, it's fortunate it did that. You know, it's like my son, he plays 5th edition. He plays with me 1st edition, but there has to be, you know, at some point there'll be a 9th and 10th edition, and the game will continue because it's carried over. It has become multi-generational. So, and it's the efforts of folks like you, and again, it's truly amazing, I would think, to be involved with something. You know, no one's sitting here and looking at what I wrote as a 25-year-old 30 years ago and going, wow, this has so affected my life today. So that's, I would imagine that's humbling. So again, thank you, Bill. If people wanted to reach out to you, are you on social media, or how can they reach out to you?
I'm kind of obscure in some ways.
Yeah.
If they want to reach out to me, they can write me through my Bill Faucet at dragoncon.org.
Okay.
They can email me if they have a question or something.
I think I had to track you down through your wife.
Pardon?
I think I had to track you down through your wife.
Yeah, you know, if it's a business offer and there's money involved, Jody's on Facebook, Jody Lynn Nye, and she can get a hold of me. She knows where to find me at any time, especially 24 hours a day lately. The fact that I'm still alive shows how merciful she is. So yeah, well, I don't ever feel like I pushed it, but I do feel like I had a great ride being part of the people who enjoyed being around all of this amazing change with some pretty amazing people. I got to put Darwin there, Gary, Dave. Don't tell Jim Ward I said it. Tim with Dragon, Kim Mohan with no question. He's probably the most important underappreciated person in the gaming from the beginning. Except maybe by TSR, he's still there as our continuity person out west. And a lot of others that have come and gone from, GDW and FASA. I haven't even talked about when FASA and Mayfair shared an office in that old warehouse. That's how they started too. They sub-rented from us the junkie warehouse on the south side, part of it for FASA Games. That's how it all got started.
That's awesome.
And you helped? Didn't you help them get Thieves World stuff? Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Bob Aspen and I were old friends. He was in my wedding party, and we were good buddies. In fact, I'm his executor, and put him together with a whole bunch of gaming stuff, both ours and his. And if you look real carefully, you like obscure things? Did you get our obscure Myth Adventures module, 4-pager?
No.
Have you ever gotten it? It's out there. There's a 4-page funny module based on Myth Adventures that we did for a show. We only did 500 of them.
Sounds like it's going to cost me.
Yeah, and it's the search for the aspirin tablet.
All right. So the search is on. I'll put it on the
put
list.
it on the list.
Unless you have a
That's
copy.
Right.
No, not for sale. I have a copy.
We do
left.
ask where people's address is.
Yes. We need your address. Is it still the same as the one in Dragon?
That's right.
Magazine?
Yeah.
Not exactly, but if you're right there, I won't have to deal with it. When we go off the air, I can give you an address. No problem.
We were being a little facetious. We've reached out to some people who wrote a module 40 years ago and hadn't been in gaming, and we called them, and Dan has pursued them like a private investigator. We get them on, and they mention I have all this old stuff in my attic. We're like, oh really? You have stuff in your old attic? What's your address? And they didn't realize that they're setting themselves up for that. So but if you see us come by, don't be alarmed at all. We're just going to Dragon Con. We're not coming to see you.
Yeah, if you find
Actually, I'll make it easy for you. When I moved down here in December, I sent 8 books of boxes of roll aids and old Mayfair Games to Games Plus Hobbies, and they're all on sale there,
Ah,
including about 10 Beastmaker Mountains and a bunch of and Tower of Magics.
that's,
So if you want anything, talk to
that
them.
sounds great. Well,
Games Plus in Mount Prospect, Illinois.
probably just avoided awkward situation.
I'll give you one more story of an adventure because it was one of my successes in life. Darwin called me into his office one day and said, "Bill, you know Robert Bledsoe, who was Gamers Guild and all. They've been out of business for some years. I want to do City of the Invincible Overlord for roll aids, don't you?" "Yeah, that'd be great. He's in Decatur last time anyone heard of him. Go find him." And I got in my car and I drove to Decatur and I found some gamers, and then I found out bars he went to, and I finally ran him down after 4 days and bought city state, raced the city state off of him. But if you want investigating, I knew nothing except he had lived in Decatur when that started. And I just got in my car and said, "I'll find him."
Yeah, the internet's made things a little easier.
Yeah, that was in 85 or 86. So yeah, it changed.
And let me tell you, so for me, City State of the Invincible Overlord, I didn't know it at the time. I know it now. And it was really a revelation for me to see how somebody was treating D&D very differently from the way I treated it. So you had, people who were evil interacting much more with people who were good. You had, this idea, it was Gonzo. You had trolls that were operating a bar or something. I had never experienced anything like that back in the day. So it was very interesting to discover that when I got back into gaming.
Yeah, Judges Guild had a lot of freedom because they didn't have to match with D&D. They just had to be sort of related to it. And they did very inexpensive print runs on cheap paper and stuff so they could afford to do it. And it gave them a lot more freedom. And some of the stuff was amazingly innovative, and City State was one of it.
Yeah, and right, Janelle, JK stuff is still considered to be quite good. Yes. His
son's putting out the original City State again. We reverted the rights.
Oh, okay. I've got the old map. I found it on eBay or somewhere. That really big map.
Oh yeah. No, it was amazing. Those were thrill moments when you found stuff like that. When it was something different and something exciting, and you go, it was wow. And we still have it. We have it today, but now it's wow, look at those graphics. Now wow, look at what he imagined.
Indeed.
So Bill, we have a tradition. I don't know if you have a D10 available, but we ask our guests to roll a D10 to see how well the show is. One, it was a waste of collective everyone's time, and we should just shelter in place. 10 being amazing. So if you have a D10, if you want to roll that would be great. If you don't, we can roll it for you.
Holding the die. Do I have a D10? My company did dice. Remember?
That's true.
Diamond dice. I have one of the reasons Jody married me is one of the first things I gave her was 4 pounds of dice.
That's right.
Wait, was that? Here's the roll.
Here is the roll. What is a 7?
7 is above average. That's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
Well, then it lied, but
no, we love it.
Sorry about the camera. I don't know what happened.
That's okay.
But,
well, see, it's a 7 despite all the technical difficulties, which shows that the quality of the conversation was clearly a 10.
Well, I doubt that, but thank you for the compliment.
And for our podcast, this works fine. And that's typically, we do. Really, the online is for some of our dear friends who like to be part of the conversation, but we really started this as a podcast. So, Dan.
So it's just the audio. That's great.
I take this. So when Dan is done for the rest of the weekend, his troubles are over, and now I get to go take all this, and I'll send you a WAV file of the combined audio of all of us. I'll send that in the next few days. So.
That's great. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
no problem at all.
And thank you for having me on, gentlemen.
So, Bill, thank you so much.
And thank your mascot. What's his name or her name?
Okay, yeah. So this is a Grizzly. It's his name, Grizzly. And see,
Hello.
we know the show. We know the show is over when Grizzly is going to sleep. So.
Well, another fan I put to sleep. What can I say?
Yeah,
That's our claim to fame, and we would love to have your significant other. I mean, it sounds again. So we'll keep in contact, and because I think we're going to be sheltering in place for a bit. So we would love to have some great things if she's willing to come on. That would be wonderful.
I don't think that should be a problem, really. Right. She's doing interviews all the time because of her 50-some books.
That'd be great.
Now she understands that we're going to be interested in the typing of the monster manual and the player's handbook and the DMG, right? I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
She'll plug the books, but she'll find a way. But actually, you're actually interested in a little more too, because she wrote one of our first modules, but it wasn't D&D. She wrote the Nick Velvet mystery.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
We did a series of mystery role-play game modules, and she wrote the one based on the Nick Velvet character, which was the first thing she ever wrote commercially.
Wow, interesting. We didn't play a whole lot. I mean, for us, I can't speak for Dan because we didn't play together till recently. It was much later, and we started branching out of D&D. Started with Top Secret and Star Frontiers. Then it was Paranoia, and then we started looking at Call of Cthulhu and moving away from the TSR, center of the universe. And then we turned in our late teens and 20s, and then kind of fell apart because we left gaming for 30 plus years, both of us. So we just started up again a few years ago. And there's a lot of folks who did that. And that's what's interesting is a lot of folks didn't. But there's a huge group of people who they put away childish things and they didn't realize what they did. And it's good to be back. So, Bill, thank you for your time today. It's been wonderful. I hope you stay safe in Atlanta. Hopefully, as we talked about yesterday, Georgia is the petri dish of America. So hopefully it'll go well. And we appreciate your time.
Well, you all stay well too, and thank you for having me on.
Okay, so I'm James.
I'm Dan.
So this is another exciting episode of Grog Talk, and we will see you next week with who are we having on next week, Dan?
Oh, Lou Pulsifer.
That's right, we have Lou Pulsifer on. So we will see you next week on Grog Talk. Take care.